go ahead and update the stream topic.
It's good to see you, Boat. I'm sorry you had a long day, but listen, now you can relax and have a good time.
Is there, in the Skype settings, is there a thing, have you checked to see if you can turn off autofocus? Because every time you move your arm, the camera goes in and out of focus.
It does?
Yes.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, all those times that people say you're going in and out of focus in the chat, they're not just fooling with you.
Right, but I'm looking at the screen. I can't see any difference.
Like when you lift it up, like lift your drink up like you had it before and put it close to the screen. Yep, see? See?
Allow me to placate you here, Boat. Anyway, tell us about your day while I'm fiddling with this.
The laptop, sometimes I feel, do you ever get deja vu on the show? Like you start talking about something and you know that we've talked about it before, but at any rate, I got one of these laptops that they gave to the students. I was like, I want to put this thing through its paces.
Yeah.
So I opened up Microsoft Teams, which is what we've got to use for video conferencing. And then I opened up a web browser, just Chrome, nothing crazy. And then I looked at Task Manager. CPU was at 85%.
Yeah. Now, as I've heard, Boat, these aren't the original laptops that they had anticipated giving you guys. Is this right?
Well, I don't know. That it could be that's true, but I know in all of the trainings that we attended, they're like, yeah, you can just tell your kids to switch around. They can switch in and out of this, open up Word, open up a browser, then they've got the video going. There's no way any of that's going to happen. Not on these machines. Mm-hmm. So
it's funny. It's funny you should mention that. It's not that funny because I know it sucks. I don't know if this was like the same at your place of business there, but at our school, the new laptops that had been on offer did not arrive. Okay, and so what they've done is they've gotten a bunch of these refurbished.
Well, I think that those are the laptops. I don't think there was ever any intention to give the students new laptops. These are off-lease deals.
Well, I'm just telling you what they told me. You may have the inside scoop. In fact, you almost certainly do. So they told us earlier in the week, they said, listen, these laptops aren't going to come in time. Okay, I've now turned off autofocus.
Now just to test it, do your drink shimmy again.
And I will say, I just updated the drivers. They just released new drivers because that was not an option.
Perfect.
I feel like Dr. Tongue.
Now, turn off.
Beat.
Yeah, that's great. Now turn off that monitor that casts a pale upon your face.
That's actually a light bulb. Allow me to turn that down. Anyway, they told us that the tablets that they bought they didn't get them.
Oh, the iPads. So, the iPads have not come in yet.
That's right. So what they did was they got some refurbished ones. You tell me when this light is. How about there? Is that better?
No, I think it's something on the computer screen because when you opened up that window to turn off autofocus, any change in that screen. So are you going to be manipulating that screen?
It's the screen. It's the same screen I always use.
Yeah, over there. Is there a screen over there to your left?
It just has the chat on it in dark mode. I don't think it's really emitting that much light. There's a light bulb over there. That's what I was saying. Look, here it is off.
No, you don't want that. Turn that on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so what they said was they've got these refurbs, and they're going to give these out. And they told me, they said, listen, when the new ones come in, the brand new ones, we're going to call you, and then you could come in and get one of these new ones. So they gave us the chance. They said, listen, do you want this refurbished computer, or do you just want to use what's at your own house? And, of course, I was like, we'll just use what we've got here, because I've got computers. It's not like this is going to take 20 cores. And Lou's got a fine computer with a webcam and I knew these were going to suck. Mm-hmm. So Teresa's sister went to get her new laptop for her job, and guess what? Much like yourself, it was crap.
Yeah.
She said that batteries don't work and they're just duds, right? So they're off and running. Let's just put it that way. So I've never been so happy to not be using school equipment. I've never been so happy to walk away without a tablet, because first of all, my feelings are. I'd rather the kid have a computer to work on, and secondly, these are garbage. They didn't look good, so I fear for the first week or two of school. We'll see how it goes.
Well,
but
these
I'm not
are
terribly surprised that
Lenovo.
they got duds.
They're Lenovo computers that were specifically made for the educational market. And much like video games and any kind of software, anything that's made specifically for the educational market is going to be crap. And
I love Lenovo as a company.
Yeah, they make
I think they do good work. But these are refurbs, right?
Well, no. I mean, yes, they are refurbished. Nothing is new that the county ordered.
Right.
The only thing that's new are the iPads. The iPads are grand spanking new, but they haven't come in yet. But at the middle school level and above, nobody gets an iPad. Everybody gets computers.
Right. That's what I've heard.
And so, these computers they're Lenovo, and it's the E series for education, much like the E and E machines. It means quality. So
something that struck me, Bo, and again, I don't know what you're using, okay? But I had this conversation with Teresa. I like to go up to the state surplus store now and again. And I picked up, remember last year, I picked up a couple laptops. They were i3 laptops with, I think 8 gig of memory and a decent sized hard drive, the whole kit. And I think I paid $12 for each for them. Okay, these were state surplus. I still use them, and so does Luke. Great laptop. They had stacks and stacks and stacks of these things. And I thought to myself when I bought it, I wonder why they don't try to use these within the state as opposed to just selling them to some yokel that rolled in like myself. Because these were in good shape, battery works fine, the whole 9 yards. Now, I didn't go through the whole stack, but my guess is a lot of these would work. Even if you got 50 of them that work, you've just saved some county a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And in the long run, that saves the state money.
Well, the way that things work within the state is that, and this is, every state and every bureaucracy, is that you can't just run out and buy whatever you want. You got to go through an authorized vendor that has to be authorized to sell educational stuff. Yeah. This was worked out at the lowest bidder. The lowest bidder came in and said, "I've got some schlock for you." And the administration said, "Bring it on."
That's probably the exact wording you used, too. Here comes the schlock. Well, are you going to be able to persevere and use these things and get through? Is that what's going to happen?
We don't have any choice. Yeah. We've got to use the kids are going to have what they have, and you have to, much like with the kids, much like with teaching with just basic intellect of the students, you can only teach as much as your dumbest student. And I can only assign technology assignments as high as my, lowest computer. So
I never really thought of it in that. I never really thought of it that way. I got to be honest with you. I never really thought of it.
Think about it that way all the time.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I understand. As a teacher, remember, by the way, you begged to come back to this. This is going to be a rough year.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough year.
Feeling. But listen. They still don't know everything. They still don't have everything worked out. And they have the teachers. I blame not. I don't blame anybody. It's
you want to hear
situation.
another awesome thing is that whenever the students are at home and they're learning, the IT department has disabled the webcams because there's some sort of law or something where we can be sued if mom walks naked in the back of the screen. And somehow because that's captured, of course, because we have to record everything that we teach. And so I've got to teach band. I've got to show somebody how to play the trumpet, but I can't look at them holding the trumpet to see if they're actually doing it right or wrong.
So So their webcam is disabled,
right?
They can see you, and is this go all the way across the whole board?
This is the whole county. This is what we were told.
Huh. So the teacher won't be able to know if the kids have been paying attention.
Exactly. So the kid can sign on. Well, here's the thing. In the way that remote learning works, the kid is under no obligation to be there at any certain time. The teachers have to record all of their instruction and make it available on demand. Now, I don't know if that's the way things work in elementary school or not. That may be a middle school and high school only thing. But we don't take attendance. We don't... man, my microphone is doing weird things. I think that my USB box may be giving up the ghost because my volume is up and down like a yo-yo. To me. But anyway,
Hi, everybody. By the way, sorry I haven't said hi.
it's that's anyway. It's
The
just
Tandy
it's a
the
nightmare.
Tandy 100. That's 48K's got it right. That's what should have been given out. Remember when we covered out an ARG?
Yeah.
That thing. I talked. Someone left a comment on that video, and he goes, "Yeah, I love that thing. I use it all the time." And I was wondering. I was like, "What did you do, sir?" He's like, "I was a journalist." I was like, "Bam." That's exactly what we talked about in the video. Now those things were popular with journalists, and here comes a journalist saying he loved it.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I literally touched nothing. I have no idea why my mic got crazy loud there for a second.
That's weird. I didn't even notice it over here.
Weird. Yeah, maybe it might
it's
be something
coming out
coming
of
through OBS. I'm just
Do I
not
sound
sure.
okay? Do I need to adjust anything?
You're fine. All your levels look great.
Beautiful, man. Hey, my levels are awesome. I've been working on them levels. Hey, earlier today while you were doing your thing, we did a warm up for our International Computer Club meeting, Bo. It went pretty well. Everything Zoom is actually pretty easy to use. I've never used it before. It's a pretty impressive little bit of kit there, Bo.
I heard it went really well.
Have you ever like hosted one of those Zoom meetings?
Never.
I have to say, even dumb guy here. Of course, I had Curtis and a couple other guys help me out, but yeah, it's pretty neat, pretty powerful piece of equipment there.
Oh, now you just started peeking on OBS.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I didn't. Obviously, my hands are
right. It's nothing you're doing wrong.
the sultry tones. Hello, Jason Warrens. Allow me to infiltrate your ears.
Yeah. I can turn myself down a little bit. Maybe I just need to turn off all of the filters on OBS.
Is this the first time? I can't remember. Did you have the new computer last week when we were doing this?
Yeah, this is week 3 with the new computer.
Oh, it's a new. Okay. I guess obviously.
Oh
you
yeah,
got
that's a good
whatever
idea. Well, oops. That should affect Aaron hearing me, but not you guys hearing me. But I will.
I should turn off my European dance club music while we're turn that off. I don't know if you can hear it, but I know how you are about that. Turn that off here.
Yeah, none of this stuff should matter. I guess the speakers. Yeah.
That's okay, Jason. Hopefully, we'll have a good turnout for the main event. I'm looking forward to it. We had just to help me test it. We probably had 7 or 8 people both come in today, so that it worked great. I was very pleased, and I got to see a couple people like in motion that I don't normally get to see.
Oh.
So that was kind of cool.
That's cool. Now I've gotten extremely quiet. Like I'm not even on
Again,
there.
I can't tell the difference on my end. Of course, we're hooked up via Skype.
Right. That's the difference is that we hear ourselves differently than everybody else does.
Oh, have you sent over the Gmail? I forgot to check that. Let me grab it.
No, I haven't sent out the Zencastr
okay.
invite yet.
I'll have it
do that
ready
right now. Though.
reason.
So we are going to do Ask the Amigos after this.
Oh man,
Settle in.
I hope we don't have as big questions this last time. Take off, Mitts. That's it. You just made the list.
Amigos Pac-Mania. Oh, okay. That's fine.
That last Ask the Amigos, it was like a 2 or 3 hours of questions.
Yeah.
Although it was fun. It's funny. I listen to those. I go back and listen to those far more than I listen to anything else we do. And it's because I forget what we did. And so I had to go back. I was like, I wonder if I did anything really stupid on this. So I go back and listen to it. So far, I haven't been too internally beaten down over my answers.
Let's see. You know what? I'm going to turn off all of the filters on OBS just to be on the safe side.
With these new super mics, filters are unnecessary.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Except for possible with the gain. Well, no, probably not even the gain one, especially the gain one.
Right.
Maybe.
So I'm just going to turn all of these off. And then on yours, I wanted to try the NDI thing again this week, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to.
No worries, sir.
Okay, so I think we should be good now. And if either of us need to come up, like, I feel like I'm already pretty high. There we go.
You don't seem high.
Okay. So I think we should be good now. All right, that's great.
Very
Thank you,
good.
thank you, Hermsky. Like I said, I put those filters on when we were using the old mics, and now we don't need them. We got the good boys now.
But Boat sent me this fuzzy gimmick to put on the mic, so hopefully the puff 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 sounds will be gone.
Your sound quality is taking a turn for the worse on Skype.
I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, you sound incredibly distorted. I'm going to turn off the turn that off. Oh, that's okay. I think I know why. All right, now say some words.
Some words, Boat. Some words.
Yeah,
I got plenty of words.
Yeah, you just don't. As long as you sound good on the recording, then that's all that matters. But yeah, Skype is not doing your sound quality any favors.
I've got a smooth Sinatra-like tone.
I'm gonna hang up on you and call you back because it's really bad.
Hello. Did that help?
Nope.
It could be maybe your connection is going south.
Maybe so. I'm gonna try.
Remember the first couple of Amigos we did where we just sat at the table with an open mic in front of us? There was no worries. I can't hear you now, Boat, at all. I don't know if that's part of your plan, but you're making no noise. No noise at all. Yeah, you're muted, my friend.
All right, I'm back. My new...
Okay, good. It's not just me then. And I'm assuming you can still hear me. So take that, Mitts. Looks like the episode just got better. Rushi's right, yeah.
My new board. Well, I've got everything cranked all the way to the top now. That's crazy.
That's right.
Hey, Pix, where is the
much easier back when you could just plug a microphone into a box. I mean, it sounded like crap.
Where is that auto gain control at, Pix?
Poor Boat.
Let's see, audio input capture.
If you can still hear me, Boat, raise your hand.
I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
He can't hear us. By us, I mean me. Oh, he did hear me. Okay. So we cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think the chat can still hear. Everybody can hear me except for you, and you can't hear me say this. So the chat could always hear me. It was only you that could not hear me.
Okay, good. I can hear you now, by the way.
Good. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, settings, voice and video, scroll way down.
Way down. Did you see my last minute Pac-Mania score, Boat? I got one in.
I did. It was much better.
Oh, yeah. It's taken me quite a while to grasp this game.
I see settings and audio, but when I scroll way down, I don't see anything. Let's see. Let's scroll back up to this again. Settings, voice. Yeah, I don't see voice and video in my settings. I see audio, video, hotkeys, advanced. Disable Windows auto ducking. Of Discord? Well, I'm not using. What does Discord have to do with it, Pix? No, I don't. I don't have Discord open. Unless it's... Nope. Yeah, I usually open it up later on, but I'll go ahead and open it now. But, all right. So...
All part of the plan.
Yeah.
My
But anyway,
boxy
I'm going to go
pal.
ahead and start. Let's see. Nope. We'll get the reviews up. Okay. Lots of reviews today. That's good.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I noticed that. This is an easy game to jump into. You know, it's got that going for it.
You're getting some background hiss?
Yes, I hear that as well.
Yeah, that's because I turned off the settings that eliminate the background hiss.
People don't realize that you live near a snake farm.
Yeah, so I will turn that back on. Filters. There we go. Should have gotten rid of. Yeah.
I still hear it, for what that's worth.
You can still hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think that this thing is dying on me. Like, it's literally dying on me because I've got everything turned all the way up. Oh. There we go. Now I'm super loud again. Okay. I'd accidentally turned off the Phantom Power. Remember the Phantom Power?
That's a comic book from the 60s, isn't it?
That's right. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
That's the Shadow book.
No, it's not.
The Phantom was the guy from 2049.
He looked real lame.
He wasn't. He had a purple suit, but there'd been a bunch of Phantoms. He had.
Is he like Green Lantern?
Well, no. Whenever one was getting ready to die, they'd pass the power down to the next one. So it seemed like that the Phantom had been around forever. You see?
Yeah, I just I just blasted everybody away by turning on Phantom Power. But again, I still feel like my volume is not consistent.
Lurks in the heart of boat. You sound fine to me, sir.
I'm going to order one of those Focusrite things, the things that I suggested to you, Pix, the Focusrite. That thing's pretty good. Okay, so now we're ready.
Is that a drug?
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna go blank screen. I'm gonna hit record. No, I'm gonna turn on Zencaster. We'll do that right now. Oh, did you accept that invite, Aaron?
I'm waiting for it to show up. Let me hit refresh here. And you sent it to where? Oh, it came in my promotions tab. I gotta move that. How bizarre.
That is weird.
It's running health checks. Health check passed. Yeah. Let me make sure that my gimmicks are all set up here. Let me mute the television, as I want to do. Bam.
Okay, I'm going to start recording.
And, yes, we're locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
Oops, wait a minute. Unknown error. Let's try again. I'm going to have to send... Oh, no, I won't. Okay, let's try it now.
Huzzah.
Okay.
There you go, folks.
Now, it's not actually working. Did you set your Zencaster settings correctly?
Yes. In fact, it started for a second. Then you said you had your VoIP connection to Boat of Car has failed, it says.
Okay.
I think you're going to send another file.
No, I won't.
Okay.
All right. And... Okay. Now speak, please.
Yes, sir.
Your microphone settings aren't set up right.
Okay. I can see microphone. This. No, they're exactly where they should be, sir.
It's not working. Like when I'm talking, I see the wavy line. When you talk, do you see the wavy line?
I'm getting a VoIP connection to boat has failed. That's what it says.
Try refreshing on your end.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, don't start it yet. Okay.
Yeah, this time it should work. Okay, here we go. Okay, say a little something.
Hello, a little something.
No, it's still not. It's not
Testing.
recording.
I'm seeing it on my end. It looks perfect.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It's not recording on your end.
Yeah, it's not recording on my end, which is the end that it matters.
Right.
I'm gonna try. What could be possibly making this not work? I'll try refreshing on my end.
You have a.
Yes. Okay. It just required a refresh on both our ends.
Okay.
Well,
it's ready to record.
Man.
So it should be whenever you hit record. It should be my end should be ready.
Yeah, but it doesn't look right. I can't see. Okay. It worked now. Can you talk real quick?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm talking right now.
All right. It's working. We got it. We're in. Okay. I'm going to hit record, and I'm going to go back to OBS, blank screen, hit record, start the show. Here we go.
Sounds good.
Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Pac-Mania. Would you classify your personality as manic?
No, I wouldn't I'm sort of the. I like to consider myself the even-keeled, kind of slow and steady type. What about you, Boat?
I think I'm probably pretty manic most of the time. I'm here and there. I'm bouncing off the walls like a madman, as they say. Maybe that's why I love Pac-Mania so much. But we'll get into that in just a second. Right now, Aaron, we need to be talking about what's been going on in the wider Amiga scene outside our 2 walls. I guess it's really our 4 walls. No, it's our 8 walls because we're in 2 separate locations. I told you, Aaron, I'm manic.
That's why you don't teach math, Bo.
Let's talk about what's been going on our YouTube channel, Aaron.
All right. We had a pretty interesting week here. I should mention that last week's Roadkill show, we got a lot of interest in that. It's funny. That Roadkill game I never thought of as a big title, but for whatever reason, that was one of the most successful out of the gate shows I can remember us having for a long time.
I think it was all our new social media production or promotion master, the Dunk. He's making it happen. He's bringing new folks in.
Numbers are up across the board. So let's talk about, here's a wacky show. Me and the Brent, last Sunday on ARG Presents, we covered the Game Kings 1 and 2. The Game King is one of these gimmicks that is shaped like a Game Boy Advanced or PSP, but in actuality contains hardware that is basically weaker than the original Game Boy. The old tricky thing. But we played some games. We played the original 3 games that came on these devices, and I'll be darned if we didn't have sort of a good time with this horrible shell game style console.
I see that modern video capture techniques for the Game King have not yet been developed. This appears to be taped right off the system itself.
Yeah, I had trouble finding non-emulated screen footage. In fact, this is one of the only ones I could find. I did find out, we used a couple different types of footage for this, but I will say the games we played, actually, believe it or not, I enjoyed the Bomberman ripoff title in this thing. It was okay. And the 1942 ripoff wasn't too bad either. So we may actually come back and revisit the Game Kings. I never thought I'd say that, but we had a good time playing with it. Coming up this week, we have finally spun one of the lock wheel pieces, and we're going to be doing, in honor of our Coco, our now lapsed Coco color computer show, we're going to be doing a color computer piece this week, and it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. That'll be filming on Sunday. Boat, now you here have one of your Activision unboxings. You want to go into it on Dragster?
Yeah, so this was the second in a series where I just pulled some games off the shelf and opened them up. And Dragster was one of our biggest surprises. This was actually has its roots in an ancient episode of ARG Presents, where we covered the 2600, and Dragster was one of the games that we chose. A very simple game, but very addictive. I had a lot of fun opening this thing up and looking at the instructions. Of course, this is from a time period where they had to be really creative with the artwork and the instructions to really draw you into the game. I go in deep with the side art on these games too. So I've always enjoyed packaging. I've always enjoyed looking through instructions and all the ephemeral material. So we do a little bit of that. And of course, we close out the stream with me relearning how to play Dragster, because this isn't a game you just sit back down and start again. You got to relearn the touch, as it were.
You know, it's funny. I remember when we recorded this way back in one of the early ARGs, and it was the same week that the fellow that had the world record got busted for cheating.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Remember, the timing on that was unbelievable. But you're right. This isn't a game you just hop back into, but it doesn't take too long to remember the rhythm of playing it. I mean, this is almost not even a game. It's a very strange title. I can imagine buying this and just hating it.
Right.
And I've known plenty of people that would put it in their machine and just be like, "What is this? This is crap," and it's gone. You know, so this was a higher level game, as it were. But yeah, very good stuff. I always enjoy it. After that, we did that original show. Let's talk about this Amiga Power live stream. But even I haven't got to see this yet. What's this? This is based on the musical CD, right?
Right. So our good friend Matthew Smith graciously sent me this CD, Amiga Power, the album with attitude. And what I did was it came with a really amazing book that details a lot of the history of this music and the games and things. And I just went down the list of the table of contents and played each game, and then we listened to its according song, its new remix. It was really fun. I really enjoyed doing this, and I plan on picking this one up because I only got about a quarter of the way through the 2-disc set. This thing covers a lot of games, and it has a lot of music on it. So we did Sensible Soccer, we did Lotus, and we did Apidia. So a great 3 games to start out with, was 3 of my top favorite games of the Amiga of all time. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a very clever boat. I'm anxious. I haven't got to see this yet. I'm anxious to check that out. So let's talk about our good buddy, Jack Flack, if you will, Rob O'Hara. He has a new Sprite Castle Plays Load Runner.
Yes.
Boat. Now, Load Runner's a game. I think you were still on ARG when we tackled that one on the Game Boy, weren't you?
Absolutely.
My God, that was hard. Such a hard game. Load Runner's a game I never really had a good handle on. Did you ever? Were you really good at it?
It's funny because it wasn't until I've played this a couple times, most notably on the TI-85. I spent some time with Load Runner.
No kidding.
I didn't realize that if you play this game with the keyboard, you can dig in both directions.
Yeah, that's important.
That makes a big difference in being able to successfully complete these levels, I'm sure. I'm going to give this thing another go. I've got an Apple IIe, and Load Runner is definitely one of the marquee titles for the Apple II. It's one of the earliest games that was really a blockbuster. And so I plan on giving this thing another go and using the keyboard so I can dig in both directions.
Very good, Bud. I should mention that I saw the screen. I haven't got to listen to it yet, but the screen grab for the new Sprite Castle that features Load Runner, and he's actually spelled Sprite Castle out with he's used the level editor to spell it out in the game.
Oh, that's so cool. I
give double thumbs up for that. Now that's going the extra mile, Bode.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. Let's talk about this was a wacky thing. So I told you I'm getting ready for an ARG this weekend that has Coco on it. And so, I like to have a little video in there. It's just a schmoz of all the videos from the game, just playing while me and Brett talk.
Right.
And I didn't find one that I liked. And it occurred to me that I had made 8 million videos. I was like, wait a minute. So I strung them all together. And once I'd done that, I'm like, well, heck, I'll just stick this up on YouTube. And so it came to pass. 90 plus minutes of Coco game footage was released. This is the audio and video, no commentary. So if you, as I mentioned in the liner notes here, as I wrote down, this is a great thing to play in the background. This is great to play in the background during Christmas or a romantic evening. Anything you've got need for Coco footage.
Right. When your family gathers together around the hearth, you put that on and you just get in the spirit.
That's right. Or maybe particularly like a religious event, like a bar mitzvah,
That's true.
For example, or a christening, something like that. Anything. The Coco footage goes with anything, So if you're dying, and I do recommend sitting around and watching this in its entirety. You can't leave halfway through. It's an hour and 39 minutes of Coco footage. You'll be glad that you watched it, Boot.
Awesome.
I think that covers. I mean, we also, it looks like you put up last week's live broadcast. So if you want to see all the behind the scenes footage from, you can also go check
get ready
that
for
out.
this week's, whenever this week's comes out, because it's going to be something.
Like audio adjustments.
Yeah, 56 minutes of audio adjustments. Get ready.
That's all we got, Boatster.
All right. Well, get ready.
Okay. Hey, did your computer slow down when you loaded up this time?
No, I still haven't. Aaron, this week on the Amiga News, we have a couple stories. It hasn't been a super, super crazy news week, but we got three solid stories to talk about. The first one comes to us from Ravi Abbott, who gives us a blow-by-blow account of him starting up the Nottingham Amiga group. This thing, they have overcome the COVID fear and gathered together for Amiga action. And so Ravi talks about all that went into making the group, scheduling things. It's sort of a vlog type affair, and then he recaps the event itself. This is definitely worth watching. I can listen to Ravi read the phone book. He's just got one of those great voices, which, he should probably think about starting a podcast, because I bet he'd be pretty good at it.
Ravi's got a voice, and really his face and everything. He's got this down to earth, your buddy quality.
Yeah.
That he exudes. It's a friendly fellow. I did watch this, and I was so jealous, but it was just killing me to watch this.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So check that out. Now, Aaron, I know that we are not the world's biggest Turrican fans, but we could not let this story pass us by. Turrican is being re-released for the Switch and the PS4 in physical form.
Oh yes,
this is done by Strictly Limited Games, who their whole business model is basically re-releasing classic games in limited editions and charging out the wazoo for it. So if you got a really thick wallet and a small brain, get ready to spend your money. No, I'm just kidding. If you bought this, I apologize. This thing, Aaron, comes in two formats. It comes in Anthology 1 and Anthology 2. So to get all of these games that you might be able to find on emulators for nothing, you have to pay a total of 70 euros. I think these are 35 euros a piece. Okay?
Yeah.
But that's not all, Aaron. You can get the collector's edition, which comes with a Turrican documentary, a soundtrack, and this is the creme de la creme, sticker sheet.
Yes.
Tons of 40-year-old men love sticker sheets. They put it on the side of their bureau. There's all kinds of things they do with their sticker sheets. So anyway, if you want such a fine piece of equipment like that, now, I'm not saying that that's the top end, because it's not. The Ultra Collector's Edition is waiting for you, Aaron. And I believe the Ultra Collector's Edition, let's get some, I want to make sure and price these accordingly. The sticker sheet package, as it's known, is going to set you back 100 euro, okay? The Ultra Collector's Edition, okay, this one is individually numbered. It's limited to 1,000 copies, okay?
Of course.
This thing has, get ready, 4 Amiga coasters. Are you sold yet?
Sweet.
What if I told you about the enamel pin that it came with? Are you a big enamel pin guy?
I'm not.
I
I'm
know
not a
that's
big
a
pin
thing.
guy.
There's like guys that put enamel pins on like their vests. I don't know. Anyway, you can get that, Aaron. That's 200 euros. It has the Switch version is 14% sold out. These guys, they know what they're doing, man, because the PlayStation 4 edition of this package completely sold out. They sold 1,000 of these things at 200 euro a piece. That's 200,000 euros, Aaron.
Yeah. It's funny when I was first introduced to this particular sale. I was typing as I read it. It was in our Discord, and I typed a little and read more, and then I typed more and read more, and the more I read, the more angry I got. And by the time I had finished typing, I was freaking out, screaming. I was like, "You've got to be joking!" I heard you kind of give this the business with Neil on This Week in Retro, and I was like, yeah, because I would love to just sit here and cut a promo on how much I hate this. I hate it, and I hate it. I can't stand what they're doing.
Now, what if they did What if they did a similar thing, but with something that you're really into, like wrestling,
like wings or something?
No, I'm talking about outside the realm of video games. But what if it was like wrestling, and what if it was like Dusty Rhodes toenail clippings?
No,
like a lock of the Nature's hair.
No, none of that.
It wouldn't appeal to you.
Let's call this what it is. Okay, I mean, there's two ways to look at this. All right, first of all, putting these in 2 volumes is an overt money grab.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
There's no denying it. Okay, so the people that are paying for this, and I'm sure there are many. I mean, listen, the Turrican series is very popular. All right, and this is nothing to do with Turrican or the awesome music. I believe the CDs are involved and whatnot, or even the little collectibles. But what these limited run gaming companies are doing, and there's a bunch of these, their business is built on people that are willing to pay any price to have these limited availability products. Okay, now I would love to just sit here and kill the business and kill all the fans. I'm not going to, because if you've got the money and you have the inclination to buy these, then the company is doing the right thing. So I can get on them for maybe hunting for a buck and sort of take advantage of people by doing these limited runs. I'm not even going to do that. This is one of those situations where someone's using you and you're allowing yourself to be used and money's exchanged, so it's all good. I mean, that's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
The whole sticker thing, this is the new thing. There's stickers and postcards, also there's stuff in there, and that's fine. I mean, that's great. And heck, we even pitched for the old back when we very first started this show, the Defender of the Crown box, and it had postcards and all that jive in it. It was sort of pricey, so it's not like we've never jumped in on this. But at the end of the day, if you've got the money for it and you want it bad enough and you're willing to pay any price, clearly there were thousands of people that did want this, so more power to them. To me personally, I hate it. I hate what they do, because to me I feel like they're taking advantage of collectors. And on the flip side of this, I think there's a lot of people out there that are speculators. So it'll be interesting, because this sort of speculation killed comic books, and I wonder if it's going to have the same effect on collecting this stuff. Collecting video games is such a huge, enormous business that I don't know if it will or not. So it may never. This may be going on for all the times. I don't know.
I don't have any problem with any of the collectibles. I don't have a problem with the posters or any of that stuff. The biggest problem that I have with this is that they didn't give you the full package of games in one edition. If they would have included all of the games and charged £50 versus charging $34.99 for 2 volumes, that is a blatant attempt at a money grab, because it's not like they didn't run out of space on the media, to fit these on here. So
you're right, but at the end of the day, that part's irrelevant. Yeah, because if you're going to take people for a ride for the first batch, why not get them for the 70 euros instead of 35?
Well, at that point, why not release a limited edition game for each one of these games? Collect them all, buy RL play sets and toys.
I just wonder how far are we before the limited edition boxed Cuthbert set, or some of these also rans like the Super Frog or the James Pond
also
Super
ran
Box
Super Frog.
set,
You heard it here first.
Golds. the gold plated edition. Turrican. I mean, again, they sold out. So, and Turrican's not what I would call like a universally loved series amongst
Well,
everybody.
it's a
It's
European
pretty
thing.
niche.
I mean, you got to realize that over there, people they view Turrican in a different way.
Well,
It's
I
their
like
bread and
Turrican.
butter.
I just am no good at.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's not like Sonic or something.
Well, not
where
not
you're
not
gonna
here,
get
but
it.
over there, I bet Turrican and Sonic are pretty of gamers of a certain age that would buy something like a Turrican anthology. I bet the majority of them prefer Turrican to Sonic and think that Turrican's a bigger franchise.
I sincerely hope this. I hope that the people that buy these, because they talk about this a lot on Pixel Gaiden, and Cody jumps in on a lot of these, because these guys also will print stuff that isn't available in a physical form. So they can get people that want to actually own the physical, item can have it. I hope these things hold their value, and I hope people are happy with them, and I also hope someday I can have so much disposable income where I could just go crazy.
I mean,
also hope that.
but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, both of us are not, so poor that we couldn't buy this if we wanted to. But nothing about this. I don't think. I mean, is there any game that they could release that you would be like, yes, I will buy an ultra collector's edition that comes with all this stuff? Would you pay 200 euro for any package like this for any game? Like, what if it was like Wings, and it was what would they have to include to make it worth 200 euros to you?
I couldn't buy that just because I can't afford it. Even if I had all the money in the world, how much would it cost to get me to buy it? What would they have to put in there?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something I would even consider, to be honest with you. I mean, I've got a lot of box games up here. Some people have sent me great games, and I've bought some and got some deals, and I'm happy with them and stuff. But I'm just not that avid a collector, and I can't think of anything that I collect that bad that I want that badly, But
there
some
are definitely,
I think, on a different level.
There's definitely other things. Like I've paid $200 for collectibles before, but in terms of a video game that they package up with a bunch of junk, I don't think that there's a video game that I like that much that I could ever feel like I'd want for 200 euros. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll think of one later.
For that much money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's almost as much as that Socrates bundle you bought.
Oh yeah. What? Please don't bring that up. What did you buy that you paid $200 for?
I don't know. I'm looking around the basement right now. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I never have paid $200 for any collectible. That is a lot of money.
I mean, what's the most you played for like one of those NES box games?
Oh, I don't know, $50.
Right. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's a limit there, and some people listen. Everyone gets mad at a lot of people that try to make money, or even people that buy and resell like PlayStation stuff at Christmas time. And they're like, "Oh, you're screwing the community." Now, listen, if there's a market for it, go out and get
That's
paid.
right. It's
That's always
capitalism, baby. That's how it works. Makes the world
but,
go round.
Personally, I'm offended. But professionally, I salute.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Our last story of the week was revealed by the one and only Retro Man Cave exclusively on his YouTube channel. This thing has taken off like a shot. He had Stephen Jones on, Stephen Jones of the Ami Hybrid fame, of the Checkmate fame, and I had a feeling that something like this might have been coming along. Stephen Jones was brought on to announce a new case for the Ami Hybrid, which I believe is a Raspberry Pi with Linux functionality. You can load up Amiberry and go between Linux and an Amiga environment. And you can basically, it's a little case that looks sort of like an Amiga 3000. That's definitely the look that he's going for. It is a complement to the Checkmate case. It doesn't replace the Checkmate case. He's going to continue to make both. This thing is, it's going to exist. It's going to have a crowdfunding campaign that has not launched yet. And it's a little case for your Raspberry Pi. Aaron, what do you think about this thing?
It's more than that.
Okay.
In fact, it's not that. I mean, really.
Tell me, what is it?
Okay, I watched this whole thing, so I was interested because I knew, much like yourself, Boatster, I had a feeling there was the Ami Hybrid was not the whole enchilada here,
right?
Because he's coming off a major success, and I will say the old case is he's finishing up, so I don't think they're making any more. It's almost done. So this new case will, from what I read, it will function as a case like a micro like one of those very small
Yeah,
PC motherboards.
micro ATX.
Right. And so, I mean, and I'm assuming a Pi would go in there as well, but that's functionally that. And one of the things he's doing is this. I have to say was surprising to me. Apparently, he struck a deal with Edu or Edward, whatever his name is, the guy that makes the Amiga, and they're going to bundle something cased up in this thing. That's something interesting.
Yeah.
It's in fact, it's going to be an Amiga in one of these cases, and it's going to be specifically made to fit the case.
Oh.
So it will be different than the Amiga I've got that goes in the 500. This will be one that especially fits. Yes, ITX. Thank you, Jason. It'll be made to specially fit this case. Interesting, because what you could effectively do at that point, much like the Vampire guys, is effectively you're selling your own sort of Amiga.
Sure.
At that point,
I didn't realize that. I skipped around this video a little bit. There's a lot of him going back into the software. This is as much about the AMA hybrid software as it is about the case.
He didn't really touch on that aspect that much, so don't feel bad. I mean, it was just sort of in there a couple of times. It wasn't like he went on and on about it.
But that is, I mean, that does make it a lot more attractive to me, at least. You know, if they can bundle an Amiga with this case and make it an attractive price point, then this seems like it would be the Amiga to have. Because let's be honest, the original Checkmate case with an Amiga inside of it is major overkill, at least in my opinion.
Well, here's the interesting thing about this. So the Amiga part aside, that's interesting. The case is you're leaving the realm of the Amiga enthusiast, and you're sort of entering the realm of the PC, right? Because with these ITX cases, mini ITX. So, and I looked because I was having a conversation, I think, with Rushi on Discord, and there are a lot more cases available, as you can imagine, that will house a board like that than just Steven's case. It's not like the Amiga situation where you're pretty much boned. There's a lot more competition. So for me, this case is interesting. The price will be key. They can't go crazy on the price of this thing like that. I mean, they can, and maybe Stevens earned a lot of goodwill, and rightfully so, because the case was so awesome. But I'll be interested to see how many of these he makes and how many people get pre-orders, because a PC case, there's a ton of PC cases that'll.
Couldn't you make the same argument for the Checkmate though? I mean, the Checkmate will house a regular PC board as well.
Right, but it holds an Amiga, and that's the key. You know, you can't go to like Amazon and order a new Amiga case. You know, where you can, you get where I'm coming from. I see what you're saying.
Here? Yeah.
So I think the deal with Edu is excellent from AaronNet, because like I said, I love my an Amiga, and I think that's an interesting. I like anytime we get a new Amiga that's sort of out there, and I say new, but you know what I mean. Functionally an Amiga.
Yeah.
And it will, from what Steven said on the show, it sounds exactly like what I've got, which is the a 25 megahertz, basically almost like an Amiga 3000 speed with the AGA. Perfect. All right, that's what everybody needs. The fact that he's just now released, he sent a video out this week displaying the Amiga playing MSX stuff. So they're finishing the cores up and they're getting ready to ship these out.
I am
soon.
so excited to see you go to town with that thing. When you fire up that thing and you're playing like ZX Spectrum Next games on it, that's going to be a sight to behold.
So here's the pitch. Here's a new custom case with a new custom board in it that plays all your Amiga stuff plus Commodore 64, Spectrum, and MSX. That's a heck of a bargain. Oh, by the way, it's got Wi-Fi. Right. Then you got something, right?
Yeah. You're not kidding,
Retro
man.
is into chat. He mentions here that Stephen told him that the build cost is lower than the last Checkmate, which I would gather it would be. But I wondered how much, because it's slightly smaller. We all know that manufacturing, especially today, could be wacky.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean it would come down that much. I suspect I would come down as much as possible to try to move these things. But we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes.
I have a feeling that if you're expecting this thing to be half the price of the Checkmate case, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because making something a quarter smaller than the original thing isn't going to make it a quarter cheaper. That's not how manufacturing works,
Right, but get this, Boat, and here's why I think it could be down to half, and here's why. One of the things that made the original Checkmate case so expensive was the modular aspect of it. All the different plates, all the different wacky stuff you had to buy to fit in whatever Amiga or Pi or whatever you wanted to put in it. This should not need any of that. It's not, I mean, because they can make the board to fit the case, and since it's a mini ITX case, it should be manufactured specifically for that design.
I don't know, because if they're going to put the Unamiga, a special Unamiga is not going to have the same backplate as a mini ITX board or a Raspberry Pi.
It can have the same backplate. I mean, Edu can make it however he wants, so that's not a problem. I think they can make this thing significantly cheaper.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on this project and let you know as soon as the Kickstarter launches. I do wish Steven the best. He's a very nice guy. All the times that I've had a chance to talk to him just over email, he's just been a super great guy, and we wish him the best for sure.
I will say before you cut off on this, the hybrid, the Amy hybrid, and he's hoping to get Amiga hybrid. I guess he's trying to work out a deal with whoever you work out a deal with the name Amiga on. But
okay, again, Neil comments in the chat that the end of October, he understands, is going to be the Kickstarter date.
Thanks, Neil. The Amy hybrid again, but I don't know if it's something me and you would ever use. I'm still sort of lost on the overall. I mean, I could get what he's saying, that Raspberry Pi is a super fast Amiga. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got that, but
it's beyond us.
Linux,
it's beyond us.
Well, I mean, you can use an Amiga, and oh, by the way, you can flip over to Linux. I mean, it's running dual.
It's for people that do stuff other than play games on their Amiga.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But it looked interesting. I will say,
absolutely.
But the case was the big thing for me.
You know what else is interesting, Aaron? It's the wheel.
What?
That's just one of your one of your patented awesome segues that you use in ARG.
That's true.
Let's talk about Pac-Mania.
Let's talk about it, Boat. Let me get my little sheet here.
So we didn't need to see that.
Now let me ask you a question, Boat. And I like to ask these little questions. Have you ever played Pac-Mania in the arcade?
That's an excellent question, and I am quite sure that I never have.
Okay. I and don't feel bad. I'm not surprised. I have played it in the arcade. I actually saw, and I remember when this came out, and I was so disappointed when it came out because I remember thinking this is real goofy looking. It was hard, and you've got to put yourself in my spot here, where we'd never seen a Pac-Man that looked like this. It was weird. It was a whole different thing than what we were. Even Super Pac-Man had the same, angles.
Yeah, it's still this is the first time Pac-Man has been seen from the top down, as it were. Well, it's weird because Pac-Man is always top down, but he's always viewed from the side. It's a weird kind of melding of dimensions.
This is
in
like
Pac-Man's
if Pac-Man,
universe.
if they were like, if someone on the spectrum was like, listen, we've got to design a Pac-Man game.
Right, absolutely.
That's what it
isometric, 100%.
That's right. So I want to get into the arcade game just a smidge before we get into the Amiga version. So this was released in Japan in '87. It's funny, I was surprised how quickly the home versions of this came out, and it was also released in North America and Europe in '87. So you're talking a year after release, and this was already coming home. Pac-Mania was popular. It was nominated for Best Coin-Op Conversion of the Year. So that means that's across all the all the different consoles and platforms. So that was a pretty good popular. They sold 1,412 arcade cabinets and grossed about $2.82 million. So it did okay. It was nowhere. It wasn't in the same ballpark.
Well, you got to realize that the original Pac-Man came out, I believe, in 1980, because I think Ms. Pac-Man was 1981. And I think that's right. I could be off by a year here or there, but by 1987, the arcade world had definitely moved beyond the top-down maze game. So they were trying to bring Pac-Man into the new generation, and this was their attempt to do it.
Yeah, and so I would say I would term the arcade version moderately successful. All right, we'll go there. And I will say it did look good. I remember playing it a few times, but it was not one I went back to, back in the day. So we flash forward to 1988, and here we go. This starts coming home. This got released on a slew of, just so many things. I'm not going to go through all these, but it's the usual suspects. Your Acorn Archimedes, the Amstrads, the Apple, iPhone, the Atari ST, C64s, the MSXs, the Game Boy Advance got it, the NES. Have you played the NES?
I did. I played the NES version. I'll talk a little bit about it later on.
Okay, good. PC Windows, the Master System, the Genesis, the 68,000, all the Sinclair Spectrums, and it was also part of many packages that released for all the future consoles. Blah blah blah. Um, this was developed by Teak, all right, Teque. But I read, it's funny, at the bottom of the line of the notes on Hall of Light, it said this was developed by Chrysalis for Teak. So I guess I don't know if I guess they developed it for the developer. I guess that's how that worked.
Yeah, subcontract.
Yeah, subcontract. Thank you, Boat. The artist on this was a guy named Pete Harrap. The coder was Sean Hollingworth. The graphics were done by Jason Wilson, and the music by Ben Daglish. Of course, we know him. And this was it was. I would say these guys didn't have a huge. They didn't do much on the Amiga. Except Ben Daglish, we know him, but the rest of them, I don't think they did anything else. And they're the ones that put this together. So let's talk about what is Pac-Mania. I'm trying to think the best. Why don't you describe this, Boat? You're better at this sort of thing than I am. How would you describe this?
So if you take Pac-Man and you tilt it 3/4, perspective, if you tilt the table part way up, as it were, and you allow all of the characters to be seen rendered in 3 dimensions, you alter the maze design to give different settings. One maze setting looks like it's made up of Lego blocks. One maze setting is made up of what look like neon lights, or the original Pac-Man maze. And you give Pac-Man the ability to jump. What you have is Pac-Mania. That's it in a nutshell.
That's it. That's pretty much, that sums it up quite nicely. It's rendered quite well. I loaded up the arcade version of this, and then tried the Amiga version, and boy, the Amiga version is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looks nice. I like the way it comes up. I like the way the levels start. I like the way. Of course, it's got the selectable level thing, which I always enjoyed.
That is one another difference between this and I think any Pac-Man game. I don't think that there's any other Pac-Man game that lets you take a bonus to start at a higher difficulty level.
Yeah, and that is. I like not having to drudge through all the boring parts.
I wish more games did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that sort of happened. If you think about I think Galapus and some others, where they would just say, "Listen, you could, like, for example, you could start with both the ships right now instead of having to go out and get them."
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally you would see a game that would give you the ability to skip over the lower level stuff. So I always like that. I thought the sound in this was good. The music was good. I would often turn it off, but it was good. The sound effects on Pac-Man were good, and I thought the graphics on this. Yes, it was a good conversion, but they did the little things that worked for me. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. When Pac-Man jumps up in the air, he sort of bounces when he lands. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bounce.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that, but that I like that.
It's funny because I've played, even though I've never played this in the arcade, I've played the crap out of this at home on my MAME machine. And even when I first got into MAME, Pac-Mania was a game that I played a lot.
Really?
And I was amazed at how good the Amiga is. You should never be amazed that the Amiga can do a quality arcade conversion of a game like this, because the Amiga's got some jack. But as we've seen with so many arcade conversions, sometimes the something gets lost. In this game, nothing was lost. Everything is here. It's a very, very good conversion. I'd go so far to say that this might be the most accurate arcade conversion of any game that we've played on the Amiga.
It's got to be very close. How did you think this matched up with the arcade version in terms of the speed of play?
I felt like, now, one thing that I probably should have done that I didn't do was go back and play the arcade version again to compare. When you start playing this game and you're used to playing Miss Pac-Man, it's going to seem like Mr. Pac-Man is drudging through molasses, because it starts out very, very slow. I can't remember if the arcade game does that or not. It seemed like the arcade game moved faster, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I thought this moved a touch slower than the arcade, but the speed of this game is one of the gripes I have against it. And when I talk about my gripes, I want to go on record that this conversion's top shelf. So I think they took what they had in the arcade and converted it. It was great. That said, in this, much like the arcade version, I hate the speed of this. It's plodding, I guess would be the best way to put it. Now you can pick up stuff that make you go a little bit faster for a little while, but when you're coming off of playing a game like the Turbo Miss Pac-Man or Super Pac-Man, where you just fly like a maniac, this just seems so slow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the ghosts some of the ghosts range from about the same speed of you to some of them are mega fast.
Right.
And they've got closing speed, and so you've got to be able to outmaneuver them. Something else about this game that it troubled me. Again, all these complaints go directly from this to the arcade. I always had trouble knowing where I was at on the maze. The mazes sort of scroll, and they don't sort of scroll, they do scroll, and I always would get confused as where I was. I almost wanted to see like some radar or something,
Mm-hmm.
like Rally X,
Mm-hmm.
where I could at least get an idea of where exactly I was at. Did you have that trouble?
Yeah. I think that is one of the main faults of any maze game that scrolls, is that you're going to get disoriented and you're going to get lost. I think that given enough practice time, you can become familiar with these stages and decrease that. But it is a shock coming from a game like the rest of the Pac-Man games, where you can always see the whole maze, unless you were used to playing it on the Genesis. On the Mega Drive version of Miss Pac-Man, the screen does scroll, and it is annoying and stupid. But yeah, that is it. I would have preferred some way to see where you were on the screen for sure.
Yeah. Now I will say this, and you bring that Miss Pac-Man up. I prefer this to I never liked that kind of scrolling on a game. Right? I mean, I understand why they did it, but I will say I like that. I mean, this game is very much like the arcade, and this is the way the arcade did it. And I like that. And one thing about this you mentioned, and you're right, the more you play it, you get used to it, and you realize early on that the boards aren't as huge as they feel.
Yes, very true.
And that's something that took me a long time to understand, because they just seem so immense. They just like these go on forever. It's because you have no point to look at, and like they could have even put a flag anywhere on the screen, so you could say, okay, the flag's all the way to the right, the flag's all the way to the left. Okay, this is as far as I can. I'm seeing the end of the screen here. But so it just looks like it just almost goes on infinitely. I can't tell you how many times I'd eat the last dot, and it'd be like, "Good job," and I thought, "Man, did I miss a whole section?"
Mm-hmm.
What's going? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I have no idea how many power pellets there is. I think I don't know if there's like I never was sure how many dots or power pellets there were on each level.
It would have been it would have been a nice touch. I could probably it would be really tough to do a radar that would be meaningful on a game like this. But what I would have liked to have seen is a counter of how many pellets are left on the screen, just so you could get an idea of what was left. I think that would have been a good touch.
Yeah. But I mean, these are problems that we had that would have been the exact same in the arcade. The jumping in this is fine. I will say that the ghosts I found difficult. One thing I didn't like this in the arcade, is that the ghosts can just literally stop the way they're going and go back the way they came. Completely stop. And,
I mean, that's
hard.
That's the game.
That's hard to deal with when you're jumping. It's funny that this game is funny to me because here they give you a Pac-Man game. They give you the ability to jump, and you think to yourself, man, I'm going to crush this game. That's what you would think. But there are many more ghosts, and they move more erratically than I'm used to, and it really does. I will say the ghosts and the size of the level sort of equal out with the jumping, so I don't feel like you're at any great advantage with having jumped.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. And of course this is made to get quarters, so it ain't easy. But I will say I found myself getting much better as the weeks ran on, because we've been playing this in the Amigos Discord high score challenge. For it's been a good while now, like a month maybe.
A month, yeah.
Yeah, and I came in late to the challenge because I tried to play it right when it started, and I got so mad I quit for a long time. I was like, screw this. But I wanted to give this thing its proper due, and so I will say I started enjoying this game because I was coming in here to kill this game. I'll be honest with you, because I never liked it, but I did start enjoying it more as I improved at it and had a better grasp of how the levels work. We should mention there are like several different levels. It's when you first start, you can pick from 3 of the 4 difficulty levels, and the 4th one is unselectable. So you have to go at least from the 3rd level to the 4th level. They all have different sort of tile sets or backgrounds. There's a sort of a neon one. There's one that's has like little spikes. The very first level is like Lego, and the last level it's almost like it's raised, like on like a little platform.
Right.
So they're radically different looking too, aren't they, Bode?
Yeah. One of the I guess I should just tell you about how I feel about this game. I think we've reached the time. Okay, what makes a game good? Okay, what makes a game good is when you have variety, and what this game gives you is variety. Every level looks totally different than the level that came before it. I liked all of the different designs of the levels. I thought they all looked unique and fun. They made me happy to traverse them. I like the fact that the music changes every round. Yeah. Let's talk about the music in Miss Pac-Man, huh? Miss Pac-Man fans, how's that music? Right. So those two things alone.
You have to go out of your way to bury Miss Pac-Man fans.
Those two things alone, put me on the side of this, and that's the way I am with a lot of games. If a game has varied graphics, and I'm not in it, and I'm doing, of course, it's Pac-Man. You're going to be doing the same thing. You're eating pellets and you're eating ghosts and whatever. But they put a degree of change in between the levels that really, really made me happy. Another thing that I like is I just like the 3D rendered characters. I thought they did a good job of making these guys come to life and come off the flat paper.
I agree. And they could have botched that easily.
Yeah.
Because this is the first time that Pac-Man appeared like this, as far as I know. And it actually, you don't feel like you're playing another guy. You feel like it's still Pac-Man. That's important.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the addition of the ghost movement, that the ghost can shift midway through a movement. I like the idea of the purple ghost just being ultra fast. So even though the game, at its lower levels, the game moves slowly, the purple ghost is always a threat. Always a threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The speed up thing, there's none of that in Miss Pac-Man. You're moving the same speed all the time. So that was cool. I like that. This game does a lot of things really well. It's really hard for me to go back and play Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. I am not a big fan of either, to be honest with you. I think that they both get incredibly boring really quickly, because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. The game just gets faster and harder. There is no variety to what you do. And this game added what I thought was always missing from Miss Pac-Man. Now, of course, Super Pac-Man's a totally different thing. You could say that Super Pac-Man is the apex of the traditional 2D Pac-Man game, because they added a lot of cool stuff there too.
Although people hated it.
Well, again, it's the same.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that people that like your brother, that like Miss Pac-Man, it's because they've played thousands and thousands and thousands of games of Miss Pac-Man, and when a game comes along that's a Pac-Man game that's not Miss Pac-Man and acts different, then they're going to react with hate and fear. So I think that that's what's happened here.
I'll pass that along.
So, but at any rate, I thought this was a great arcade conversion. This is a game that I like anyway, so I'm biased towards it. Again, I can't oversell I can't undersell the music. The music's fantastic. Ben Daglish, rest in peace. Great job. I wish there were more games like this. I wish. This is not my favorite Pac-Man game. My favorite Pac-Man game is Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, not 2, the original.
Yeah.
That game, which a lot of Miss Pac-Man fans, guess what? They hate it too. It's a totally different game, but I love it. I can't get enough of it. So anyway, Pac-Mania, big win from me.
This game is a Pac-Man game through and through, but doesn't feel like Pac-Man. I'm much like yourself. I was never a big fan of the original, and I liked Miss Pac-Man just because it was so much different. You got to understand that at the time, you're like, wow, this is a much better game than Pac-Man.
But it wasn't much different. I mean, it was better than Pac-Man, no question.
Well, it sounded better. It looked better. It had better mazes that changed. And then eventually when they had the turbo button hack, that made it much, much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still not like a mega fan. I mean, like I said, Super Pac-Man was my game of that series. That much said, much like how Super Pac-Man doesn't really feel like you're playing a Pac-Man game, this doesn't really feel exactly like you're playing the original Pac-Man either. And it's a good thing. They did everything that this was not an easy thing to do, to go to this sort of angle and stuff. I think they did a good job. I like the ghosts that jump. I think that's kind of neat because that seems fair. Get a ghost in there that can jump.
Right.
I like the fact they added a bunch of different like goodies to get it in the center instead of just the cherries. Like there's coffee and the crazy stuff. I like the speed thing. I wish there was a way to just play this thing time. That would make it for me. But I appreciate this game what it is, and I have grown to appreciate it more now than I did when I first started playing it. So I'll give this game some credit. I wasn't the only one that kind of dug this. I looked through some of the scores here. I was surprised at vote because I've read a lot of positive comments on this on like Lemon voters and whatnot. But the score on this was 7.78, which that seems low to me, especially on Lemon.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, and I didn't look at the Lemon scores for this one, is that maybe people just don't like this game. Because if you don't like Pac-Mania, and there's a lot of people that don't like it, then you're just going to rate it low.
And I would have buried it too, really, until I sat down and really started getting into it. Amiga Computing gave this an 85. AUI gave this 8 out of 10. Commodore User gave it a 72. ST/Amiga format gave this an 80. So you see a trend here, Bo. This is, and much like the Lemon people, this is getting sort of that around 80% score. Now, and this is pretty early, 88. Not to, I'm surprised this didn't score better, but like you said, it must have just strictly been because I mean, literally, aside from the fact that stuff we talk about, it's got cut scenes, it's got a cool opening screen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got a lot of panache. It's not just like they threw something in.
Right, right.
So I think that you get in the Discord on this thing, Moster.
Oh, we got a lot of reviews this week. We're going to start things off with the one and only Duncan Styles. He says, a game equally addictive and frustrating. Jumping over a ghost only to have it change direction beneath you is annoying, but not as annoying as the speed of the purple ghost on later levels. I wanted to throw my controller out the window several times. I feel as though the collision detection at corners could use a tweak, as you can't get around a corner when a ghost is on your heels. That being said, it's smooth, looks good, sounds like Pac-Man, and begs you to beat your high score. 8 out of 10.
There it is.
Frodo NL writes, a pseudo 3D Pac-Man that actually works. Very addictive, fast, nice graphics, the sound you would expect from a Pac-Man game. It's kind of like the sound you would expect from the ZX Spectrum. What more could one want? Great game that I would have dismissed completely were it not for it being on the show and the high score challenge. 8 out of 10. That's awesome. That's why we do the high score challenge.
I love that, yeah.
Dave Velociraptor writes, in the arcade, this was an acceptable refresh of a seminal game. The Amiga version is a worthy port. 7 out of 10. Yep. Lord Soup writes, it's Jumpy Pac-Man, no more, but Pac-Man's gameplay is aged well. 7 out of 10. Bomb, the Bass, writes, a fairly nice 3D take on an all-time classic. I have fond memories playing the original as a kid on various platforms, so I was hopeful. Remakes don't always live up to the original, but in all honesty, it's pretty playable with decent enough graphics and those familiar sounds we love. The only real negative I could find was that it goes from fairly easy to very hard in a matter of minutes, which leaves you frustrated and in two minds whether to have another go or not. Not as good as the original, but still an enjoyable game. 7 out of 10. Graham W. Vebke writes, when Ms. Pac-Man is your all-time favorite arcade machine, oh, here we go, and you did not enjoy the arcade version of Pac-Mania at all, there's 2 strikes against it. This is going to be a tough ask. A strange isometric perspective, and with Pac-Man's ability to jump, ultimately both low-value gimmicks, and a difficulty level that skyrockets after level 1 makes this painful to play. Points for the music, but the music on the C64 version is better. Oh, interesting. And also for giving Shift P as an option to pause the game for those who want to endure this torture. I will continue to play Miss Pac-Man and avoid this. 3 out of 10. So, Graham Vebke.
Man, burial.
Not a good review from Graham this week. Flack writes, Midway spent nearly a decade tweaking Pac-Man's formula in order to keep it relative. They added lipstick and a bow in Ms. Pac-Man, merged it with pinball in Baby Pac-Man, promoted him to superhero status in Super Pac-Man, and turned the franchise into a side-scroller in Pac-Land. In 1987's Pac-Mania, Namco dragged our flat, pizza-shaped hero into the third dimension. In 1987, Pac-Man felt almost like virtual reality. It wasn't the first game to use an isometric point of view, but there was something amazing about looking at a game we had known only in 2 dimensions fleshed out. See Super Mario 64. The Amiga port is loyal to the arcade version, especially considering it fit on a floppy disk. While Pac-Mania has aged well, certain things like a limited maze view and rapidly increasing difficulty don't stand up to modern games. 7 out of 10 cherries. Chris Folds writes, a very good port of the arcade game. It's a shame that the arcade game is a bit dull, lacking the frantic and energetic feel of the original, making this an accurate port of a boring arcade game. 5 out of 10.
Oh.
Paul, aka Hermsky, writes, a Herm firm, 9 out of 10. I have admiration for any developer that can take one of the first ever games, refreshing it completely for a more modern gaming era without misplacing any of its originality and charm. Pac-Mania ticks all the boxes where that's concerned. It makes me wonder where else Pac-Man can take us. As with the original, it's a game you can play instantly wherever you have a little bit of spare time. Overall, an attractive fun game whilst holding on to a bit of Pac-Man nostalgia. Pixels at Dawn writes, quite possibly the best arcade port on the Amiga. Not only does it capture the magic of the arcade, but it uses the full Amiga PAL resolution to increase the visible size of the playfield over the arcade original. Let's stop right there, Aaron. Listen to that. The Amiga resolution is higher than the arcade version, so you can actually see more of the map on the Amiga version than you can the arcade version. Isn't that wild?
It's funny because I said I just played both back to back when I first started fooling with this thing, and I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, props to Pix
but I will say
for
I do
figuring that
better
out.
at this than I do in the arcade, so that maybe that's why.
Hey, he goes on to say, really smooth gameplay, a decent graphical style, and great music unite to create a uniquely charming game. Not sure I prefer this over the original Pac-Man. It can be a little sluggish at times, and not seeing the whole playfield at once removes some of the strategy, but still a truly great game. 8.5 out of 10. And
that
finally, that was from Pix.
Pix, thumbs up. Very well done, sir.
Jason Warrens writes, delightful. 7 out of 10.
There you go.
Now, did you look this thing up on eBay, Aaron?
I sure did, Boatster. Pickings were slim, my friend. I did find this came in apparently a smallish box. It's called a mini box, Boat.
Really? Okay.
I mean, at least someone has one that came like that. It may have came in who knows how many boxes. But there's one in the UK right now for $53. Your mileage may vary on the price, and I didn't see a lot of these having been sold. So I don't know if they. I would wonder. You would think a title like this would have sold okay because it looks so nice, but maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Of course, we want to actually before we hang things up, Aaron, we would be remiss if we did not sum up the winners of the Amigos High Score Challenge for this month. We actually have two high score challenges ending this week. We're going to do the Amiga one first, and then we've got to talk about the ZX Spectrum High Score Challenge. So I will flip the screen back over to here. And we reveal congratulations, a big Amigos congratulations to the one, the only BarkBit. BarkBit demolished the composition with a score almost twice as much as the second place finisher. BarkBit scored 1,424,480 points, an absolutely unbelievable score from BarkBit. Yeah. We want to congratulate Picard 2010 for coming in second place, and Bomb the Bass coming in third. But we thank all of our participants, Frodo and L, Duncan Styles, me, Paul, aka Hermsky, Mitsuyama, and down there at the bottom. Now, Aaron, is this your latest score, or did you score better?
That's not my latest score, actually, and I may have entered my score past the deadline. But if you'll indulge me, so I can save face, I did send in my last score, and it was
looks like 50,120.
367,180.
367,000. So that would have put you where in our list here? I've lost the thing. There it is. 364,000. So that would have put you in 8th place. So you moved up.
I'd move up one. Yeah. Thank you. I'm learning now. I'm learning.
Yeah. Well, you definitely beat your first score of 29,000. So that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
We want to shift over to the ZX Spectrum High Score Challenge. and see who ended up on top this week. This month's game was Ping Pong, Konami's Ping Pong. Mitsuyama squeaked out a first place finish with a score of 46,020, with Steve Rasmussen in second and Frodo NL in third. Of course, we want to thank all our participants, including Pixels at Dawn and Robertson 1107. Well done, all and sundry. I'm
going to try that.
This month's high score challenge is going to be Street Hawk. Aaron, I know you're a big Street Hawk fan. You're going to have to be all up in this.
Oh my God! You better believe it. Street Hawk. What an awesome show that was. The bike can fly, Bode.
Yeah, I've never seen Street Hawk before. I should check it out.
Oh, dude.
And with the high score challenge on Amigos, we have a new one coming up. Oh my gosh, it's going to be Pac-Mania. This is one I am definitely going to be, because I love Pac-Mania. This is a game that I learned to love as we covered it on the show, sort of like you in Pac-Mania. It's funny, these are both Mania games. At first, I did not like Pac-Mania, but then once I figured out what I was doing, I love Pac-Mania. So awesome.
It's a fun game.
Yeah.
Fun game, yeah.
All right. So, again, thank you to all of our high score participants. If you want to get in on the action, all you got to do is join our Discord. You can do that by supporting us through Patreon, through PayPal, or by subscribing to our channel on Twitch. Just $1 a month gets you in on the action. Speaking of our Twitch subscribers, Aaron, I'm going to flip back over to our main scene here. We want to thank the following folk. We want to thank Buck Owens, Lamatsta, Real Joe the Zombie, Jost80, Rushi MSX, Picard 2010, Demoto Wylack, Go Sub, Uber Scuba Diver, David ZIN PHX, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, Macintosh Librarian, Old B Sturgeon, Retro Jerry, Jigglebox, Mitsuyama, Frodo NL, and Wing Chun Wolf. Thank you all so much for subscribing to our channel on Twitch. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Aaron, last week on the Amigos High Score Challenge, we had one of the... Oh, before we get into that, Aaron, actually, we want to wish a very happy birthday to the following folks: Chris Folds, Ricky DeRocher, and Still Adolescing. So, happy birthday.
Born at the exact right time.
To all you guys. Yeah. Beautiful. And if there was anybody I missed, Discord folks, if your birthday is coming up between now and the next show, let me know, and I'll make sure and give you a shout out. Happy birthday, guys. We hope you had a great one.
You could be like Marty Brenneman.
Yeah. Yeah. The 100-year-old, or who was Willard Scott? That was his shtick, too.
Special anniversary notice for Joan and Bob Smith. God bless them.
Did you know that I saw Willard Scott in person one time?
Really?
It was one of the greatest moments of my life. He was at Cleveland Clinic. I was up there getting work done on my feet. And there he was, across the crowded room. We met eyes.
Did you talk to him?
It was all over. No, I didn't. I was afraid. I was scared. All right.
I knew it.
Last week, Aaron, you've lost that loving feeling. I
lost it when you were singing. That's the exact moment I lost it.
And we want to congratulate. This was probably our most ever entered Amigos Patreon song challenge. Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, Rob O'Hara, Pixels at Dawn, Edvin Helland, Luke Hudson, Terry Howard, The Slow Norris, Mitsuyama, Eric Nelson, and Bomb the Bass. Congratulations to one and all for getting that song correct. And, Aaron, we got a new supporter this week, a new Amigos supporter. We welcome with open arms Bundy.
King Kong Bundy
already ensconced himself in the fold. He's another friendly Australian, and we're glad to have him on board in the Patreon. Welcome, Bundy.
He also demands a 5 count, Boat.
He does.
Sure.
Was that a thing?
That's why King Kong Bundy, when he wouldn't pin the guy with a 3, he had to count to 5.
Wow, man, he was dominant in the ring.
You got that right.
So, this week, if you know this week's Amigos Patreon song challenge, send me an email. Please, Discord people, send me an email, because sometimes I've missed some in the past when you send it to me on Discord, and I forget to write it down. So email me, please, john@amigospodcast.com, and I will add you to the list of the winners. So here we go.
I would suggest send him a death threat after some of these songs.
Bundy, Frank, Lord, Cello Code, Mark Byland, Olive Hope, Hermsky, Jonah, a.k.a. Samuel and Jeremy Jones, Ethan Little, Alien, Breeder, Dave, Velociraptor, Calvert Boy, Lane Denson, Luke Hudson, John Cook, Bomb the Bass, Roshi, Frodo in a soul, Incisor, Technique, Jurgen, Mr. Cola, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Zoe Globe, Commodore Kid, Reflection, Simon Ledge, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes and Caffeine, Gary Heather, Free Lunch Kate, Fox David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones Lobb, Terminator, 10-minute Amiga, Retro Casper, Nard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Etter, Robbo, Harold, Matthew, Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zoe, Buckbit, Roland Buck, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, Leaf, Alan K. Bob, Chicote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky the Roche, a creepy dead boy figure citizen, Slow Norris, Stefan Solgard, Mortensen, Edvin Helland, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Webkey, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tape from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Humbertstad, Daniel Brinkston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Wants, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
What'd you say you do for a living again?
Oh, I'm a music teacher, vocal coach.
Dwell on that, folks, please.
Aaron, next week, it's another week of arcade action. I know you're happy to hear that.
Yeah, I am.
Operation Thunderbolt, Aaron. Are you aware of this game?
Is that the gun game?
I don't know. I've never played it.
It's Operation Wolf, and then there's the other one.
It could be the other one. This one was picked by Rollro himself. Rollro getting a turn on the one of our very well-established Amigos Game Selection Committee members. And, of course, we do want to thank Boss Man for getting the job done. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This was not a Boss Man pick. Yeah. Let's see. Pac-Mania was another Hermsky joint. Hermsky, 9 out of 10 picks on the Amigos Game Selection Committee come from Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky. He is the wizard of Omaha. That's what they call him. So
Rollro has unseated him here.
Yeah. So at any rate, thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening to us. We want to thank all. It was Chris Folds. It was a Folds joint, even though he hated it. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Pac-Mania was a Hermsky thing. My bad, Chris Folds. Congratulations for picking a game that you hated. All right.
I like that, Boat.
Now, Aaron, we've got quite a few folks in the chat that have joined us. I'm going to try and read their names without reading any of the offensive bot names that also pop up in this list. Did you know when you read one of these lists, at least 75% of all the names are bots? So if you're a bot, congratulations, you're going to get your name read, unless you're not. Duncan Styles, thank you for being a mod. Coming down the road and back again. Pixels at Dawn Gaming, thank you for being here. Forika, Amiga 1200 Gamer, I bet he's not a bot. Another TT viewer, ARG Presents is here. Atten, Bitstorm, Bomb the Base, Buck Owens, Chris Folds, Cobrian, Commander Root, Edvin Helland, Eeyore 4077, that's my office extension. Frodo NL, Jigglebox, Go2Go Graham N CFC, Hermsky, I am Paul H, Jabasoft, Jason Warrens, Johnny Renegade, Joss80, L Curtis B, Let's Do This Streamers, Lobsterminator, Lurks, Mitsuyama, Olaf Hope Umake, Paul Kitching, Picard 2010, Polyester Links, R-Typer, Retyke, Remastino, Rob O'Hara, The Retro Man Cave, The Slow Norris, Treyguard82, V&K, Wing Chun Wolf, and Z9K9. Aaron, are you not ARG Presents?
I am.
Okay, because you're also here as the Devil Bunny.
That's right.
Oh.
In fact, I've turned most of my phones and computers into the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just curious how you managed to accomplish that.
And I will do the same thing. I should next week remind me to mention this earlier in the show. But before we go, I want to mention the date, the time is set.
Oh yes. We should have mentioned this during the news.
Computer Club. That's okay. International Computer Club is going to happen. It's a happening, Boat. This will be 2 weeks from. It'll be a week from tomorrow, which I'm going to look the date up on that. That will be the 12th. It'll be the 12th of September. It was the 12th of September, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The luminaries, the stars are all coming to shine down on International Computer Club. All your favorite Discord buddies are going to be there. This is, if you want to get in on the video portion of this, you can. If you just want to come in and watch us do it, you can. It's a free for all. So if you're interested, if you need to know anything, head over to the Discord channel on International Computer Club channel on our Discord for more information or ask questions.
Oh yeah. That's awesome, man. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Amigos. We will see you next week with Operation Thunderbolt. And until then, adios.
Adios.
And we'll stop the Zencastr. Okay.
Our Skype connection must not be that good.
No, it's not.
It's hazy.
But
before we begin phase 2, I'm going to use the restroom real quick, but I'll be back in 2 shakes. All right. All right. Everybody stick around.
Let's see here. That's great picks. I'm glad. Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Frodo. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just I think a lot of the problems were just disabling those filters and getting rid of that stuff. And it's funny, Zencastr does such a good job with eliminating a lot of the issues just by default. Whatever magic they're using is magical. So as soon as the free COVID period is over, I'm definitely going to be paying for a license for Aaron and I. It's great. The new job is going well. There are times when things become a little overwhelming because today, you know, it's crazy time all the time with school starting on Monday. And I also had several things to do for the new university president today, and trying to line up a report for her to make a good impression, because this is going to be my first thing that I've submitted to her. And then I've also taken on another job where I'm teaching virtual students music appreciation as part of another organization. And so I'm trying to come to terms with how that all works. And then I'm also I've also signed on to teach a music appreciation class at West Virginia State. I didn't think I was going to teach any classes this semester because of lower enrollment. They had to give all my previous classes to teachers that were full-time there, but they're giving me one because they have early enrollment through the high school. So it'll be pretty busy time for me. But I've got a 3-day weekend coming up, so that's good. And I can catch up on a lot of stuff during that time. The good thing is that everything except for my teaching job is 100% online, so I can work in the evenings pretty easily. Bomb the Base, that's already on the schedule. I'm just going to kick down the door. I've got to kick down like 16 doors because university presidents ensconce themselves in the heart of their office. You have to work your way through 3 secretaries just to get in the office of the president.
I wish I had that kind of jack.
Yeah, I wish I had that kind of jack too, because they are paid extremely well. And they get a company car, and they get a company house. They get it all, man.
I got a company car. It takes me directly to prison. That's all.
What is? I never asked you what the company car was. Isn't it a van of some kind?
It was. The van died. Well, actually, they took it. They gave me a 4-wheel drive because of the winters out in eastern Kentucky. And we didn't have one at our lab. And then they gave my van to this goof up in Cincinnati who promptly destroyed it.
Oh.
So the van is dead. Although it almost killed me, so. Whew. Man, our connection on Skype is just the dirt worst here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the old task manager. Well, I mean, we are still streaming, but...
You had 50 tabs open. We could see your internet browser, and you had like 600 tabs.
Listen, man, I can't operate unless I've got 600 or 700 tabs open. I've got something called Armory Crate Service. It's an app that runs nothing but the LED in my power or my my fan. I don't know if that's necessary.
That's a software.
Oh yeah,
that's ridiculous.
It's probably spying on everything I do too. Network use is at 1%. Skype. Yeah, Skype is... now, I'm running the 32-bit version of Skype. I don't know if that makes any difference. And I didn't even know there was a 64-bit version of Skype.
You got the geek version, man.
I'm going to... Let me try stopping this NDI and see if this helps.
I didn't think you were using the NDI.
Well, I'm not using the plugin on OBS, but it was still running in Skype. Man, it's gotten real bad. I'm going to have to call you back again.
You know, Hermsky... Okay, go ahead and do that, and I'll talk to Hermsky when you're done.
Okay. I can't even figure out how to hang up on you. There we go. All right.
That's better.
You do look more clear.
Hermsky, I see, here's the problem. I forget to put my score on the spreadsheet. That's the problem. So, yeah, that's 2 times. I just assume it will just magically appear there, Bode.
Well, it does. When you're King Dong like you are, people do that work for you.
No, it doesn't, because did you see my score updated on the... I don't know who I did the first score, but I'll give them credit for that because I didn't
Listen, man, when the Devil Bunny posts a score, he doesn't worry about putting it on the spreadsheet. He knows that the underlings do that. The rest of us slave away, copying and pasting.
Listen, if I have an underling, I've not yet met him, because that's... I'd love to know who he is. I will definitely, get me a Devil Bunny t-shirt. That sounds great. I love that. Oh, Bo, did you see the shirts we got over the weekend from Buck Owens? They're Dick Smith electronic shirts.
No, I mean, I remember I listened to you struggle with the packaging, but I never watched the show.
I opened it ahead of time as an added dumb guy bonus. But yeah, listen, that's irrelevant. They're Dick Smith shirts, Bo. Dick Smith's face emblazoned on my chest.
I love it, man.
Yeah. I know you're not into Dick Smith like me and Brent are, so but that was very cool.
Well, it's not for lack of trying. So let's see. We're gonna go ahead and do Ask the Amigos. So I've got to pull that up.
Pull it up. I'm ready.
All right, and I'm putting checkpoint.
Do we need to restart the sound gimmick?
No, I'm just going to start because Zencastr will continue to. You can make multiple recordings with Zencastr. So.
Sweet, sounds good. More Amigos, I like it.
Okay, so
I don't associate with Little Dog Flack.
Remember when you could make like movies and call characters like Long Duck Dong and all that stuff?
Dong,
I don't think you can.
My automobile?
Yeah, I don't think that sort of thing flies these days.
Yeah, they took the fun out of everything.
I took the fun out of racism. Come on, man.
What, long duck dong is racism? That's good stuff. That's a quality joke.
All right. Let's see. I will download this though, just to make sure we don't lose it. Okay, and then we're going to do new recording.
Booze Amiga love. Joss has got it. I'm not drinking anything this week, Boat. I'm watching the boys.
I'm not either.
So, yeah, that would explain our competent. Well, no, I can't say that. Maybe that would explain our incompetence.
All right, I guess I need to refresh this again.
You never heard of that, Frodo? You need to go see. What was that, Boat? Was that
Pretty in Pink?
Pretty in Pink. That's one of the best parts.
No, that's not the best part of Pretty in Pink.
What was the best part?
The naked chicks. What do you think?
There were naked chicks in that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
It's also referenced in one of the Jay and Silent Bob movies where they're talking about John Hughes movies.
You watched those movies? I'm surprised.
I was a different person.
I've heard that.
Can you refresh your Zencastr site, Aaron?
Yes.
All right, let's see if this works now.
Testing. There we go. Oh, no, it gave me that VoIP thing.
Yep. All right, we'll try it again. Let's see, let me try refreshing my page.
Nope.
No, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, we must just not have the bandwidth. Try hitting refresh on your end again.
Yes, sir.
Please. Like, it looks fine for a while. Okay. Nope. Man. And you're getting that VoIP error, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I guess we just don't have a strong... It's funny because this never happens with me and Neil, and he's freaking a world away.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Me and Britt didn't have any trouble.
Well, you guys are week to week with internet troubles, so...
You can hear us all the time. I would hope.
Let's see. I'm just going to log into Zencastr again, and maybe that will help things.
This is our new show. It's called Tech Struggle.
Yeah.
Watch two people that know just enough to be dangerous sweat and toil in an effort to try to make things better.
Okay, I've just sent you an invite.
Okay. That makes it easier for him, by the way, because he can hear our voices all the time.
Just imagine if people could just hear you all the time, constantly.
I like that.
I'd love it.
The thought of that.
I'm still waiting on when are you going to publish those Amigos wrestling episodes.
I'm never going to do that.
Listen, man. Listen, if you're in the chat right now and you want to hear Aaron and Hose talk wrestling for 6 or 7 hours,
2.5 hours,
give me the high sign.
Nobody wants that, and they can go watch it. Some people have watched it.
Nobody's going to Twitch to watch VOD. Nobody does that.
Vote.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So Ask the Amigos is going to be not awesome audio this time.
It'll still sound pretty good.
It'll still be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So is Terry asks if Tech Struggle is the sequel to Tech Liquor.
Yeah. They're very similar. If we could get chatted on this, he would struggle right along with us, and he gets much angrier than we do.
All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Amigos for September. Do you remember, Aaron? The 21st day of September.
It's the boy's birthday.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So I guess you do remember it.
I do. Under penalty of death.
Now, do you remember the first time that you ever saw the Lukester when he came home from the hospital?
I was in the operating room when he came out.
Oh, so you didn't do the classic dad thing where you were in the waiting room and you were smoking the pipe and all that stuff?
No, I was in there.
You were in there. You were right up in there.
Oh man, it was like a Cthulhu style adventure in there. I shall do that again, but I was there.
Okay. So you saw him early on, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, Aaron. So if you don't remember how this works, every month people ask us questions in Discord, and we answer them. That's how it works.
That's pretty simple. Even we could do that one.
Yeah. So here we go. We're going to start things off with Bomb the Bass. He asks, what's the most cheesy pickup line you've ever used, and did it work?
What do you got here, dude? I want to hear one of your big ones.
I've got nothing. I've the amount of times that I've ever tried to pick up a girl are low. Yeah, normally I guess my pickup line is like awkwardly standing around, maybe just like unbroken stairs. You know, the things that chicks dig.
Yeah, I've got one that springs to mind. I was an independent wrestling show in Lexington, and there was a really good looking chick at the show. But that right there was unusual.
Yeah, man.
And she had on a Terry Funk T-shirt.
Oh my gosh!
She knows who Terry Funk is.
Did you walk up to her and say, "You want to do it for pride"?
No. I said, "Hey," this was a subtle. I mean, I was going to work my way into a pickup, but I was like, "Hey, you're into Terry Funk, eh?" That was my pickup line. That's how I got my foot in the door.
How'd it go?
Right? It didn't go too good because she was dating one of the wrestlers.
Was she dating Terry Funk? That could have been awkward.
Terry Funk's been married for like 60 years, and he's an old man. But she was dating like, I can't remember which one of the indie geeks it was. But it didn't go well.
Rusty Shanks, probably.
No. So yeah, pickup lines are not my bag. Usually,
how do you lure them in? What's your secret?
Friend of a friend. That's the easy road.
That's a good way to go. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's how I like to do it.
I did meet the girlfriend that I had in Korea. I did meet her at a bar, which that's the only time that's ever happened to me. But yeah, other than that, my people have always they've really all come through the band. If we're being honest, that's
the bar pickup's tough, especially for me because generally I'm usually drunk at the bar.
Right.
Back in the day, not now, of course. What's a bar? But back in the day, I didn't waste any time. Yeah. I was one of those.
Right to work. Because
I don't like beer. So I'd hit the hard stuff instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes I would get liquored up before I got to the bar, so there you go. And have somebody drive me over.
All right, next up, Simulant asks, if a beautiful woman approached you and if you were single, and she asked if you either wanted to play some Amiga with her or have a roll in the hay with her, which would you choose?
Roll in the hay.
I would say, what's an Amiga? And that would be the end of that.
Yes. I love the Amiga, but...
it's funny. I'm sure you've seen these German magazines, these German computer magazines, and they've got like a girl in lingerie, and like the dude is like over there playing with the computer while she lays there seductively. I can guarantee you 100% of the time that has never happened. That's just...
Now, if it was a Polish magazine, I'd buy it. The Germans, I don't know.
Again, with the racism.
Yeah. That wasn't racist. I'm saying the Polish are passionate about their Amigas. That's what I'm saying.
Flack asks, tell us about a memorable moment about data loss. It could be from a floppy disk becoming unreadable, a hard drive going bad, or a file getting accidentally deleted. Yeah, okay. So let's start with that.
Okay, I got one right immediately popped into my mind. I'll never forget this. I was this is when I had just started acquiring Wii software, right? The Wii, Nintendo Wii, and I had an external hard drive that had worked up to the nines, good to go, right? So we were going to my brother's house. He wanted to get a dupe of this thing. We hopped out of the car. I had Tree and her nephew in the car, and the nephew was holding the drive for me because I was driving. And the first thing he did was jump out of the car, and the drive did like a moonsault onto the cement. All right. And they thought that was good stuff. They thought they were amused by that. And man, I was so mad. I'll never forget how mad I was. And of course, the drive was trashed.
Yep.
Just like I thought it was. And one thing that bothers me about something like that is that no one knows the amount of man hours that goes into that sort of thing.
Right.
And I mean, any of you hardcore super dorks out there, geeks, will understand this stuff doesn't just happen. The amount of time it takes to download this stuff, to hunt it down, to find it, to format it properly. This is old school. To get in the proper format on the drive, to format the drive in the appropriate way, it takes hours and hours and hours. So whenever something like that happens, the accumulated time it took, plus the money, all gone.
Not to mention the fact that the people that destroyed it were so cavalier about its destruction as well.
That was the worst part.
Yeah,
that's the word. I used that word, by the way.
Did you really?
Yes. I was so mad that I still remember it. I mean, I threw a big Aaron fit right there. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Surprisingly, after a lifetime of working with computers, I've not experienced any data loss I've had drives go bad, but I knew that they were going bad and I could back them up in time. The only time I've ever lost data was when I went. Well, the story I'm going to tell at least was I went out to California and visited my friend, and we had a great time. We played golf in the desert. It was amazing. It looked like a course from Neo Turf Masters. I took a ton of pictures. The first time I ever went to In-N-Out, and then my card got corrupted and I lost all those pictures. And it's funny, even last week, anytime a new device comes up that's like, we can recover your data, something new, and they're like, try it out. I always try it never works. So I've come to terms with the fact that this is not coming back. But that's the only time that I've ever lost data. Now, Jason in the chat brings up a great point. I would like to be able to get that lost data from Amigathon. We had all that stream for whatever reason didn't appear.
We were talking about that while you were fiddling around with something about those wee hours where you were literally looked like Gene Wilder. It's insane, glazed over look, drool coming out of your mouth. I wouldn't mind seeing that again either.
Yeah.
So that was, but maybe that's good that that's lost. Maybe we don't want to see that.
Right.
Because I don't remember much of what happened. So
yeah, me neither. Let's see. Mitsuyama asks, whatever happened to quicksand? Oh, I'm sorry. Flack asks, what yeah, I forgot the second part of Flack's question. He said, what's the most you would pay to get that data back? Now nothing, because you got it a million times.
Well, there is back in the day, me and Will Cox and some other guys used to trade tape backups, 250 megabytes. This is way back. And man, when one of those suckers went corrupt on you, that sucked, because that's a lot of data back in 84 or something like that. 1994, excuse me. So what are you doing?
I'm standing up. I've been sitting too long.
Are you going to announce someone to the ring?
Ladies. Man,
let's get on to the quicksand question. That's the big dog.
Okay,
right
so let me continue with Mitsuyama's question.
Okay, go ahead.
Whatever happened to quicksand? When I was a kid watching adventure serials and reading comics, I thought that quicksand would be an ever-present danger in my adult life. But you don't hear about it these days, do you? Have either of you ever had an encounter with quicksand?
Go ahead, Bode.
No. In fact, I share Mitsuyama's question, because when I was a kid, you couldn't take 2 steps in an adventure novel without running into quicksand. I feel like I've had experience with quicksand at the beach, because I think all quicksand is just sand with water in it. Like when you go to the beach sometimes and you step in some sand and you sort of sink into it a little bit. Isn't that all quicksand is? There's
a formula in there where the amount of water versus the amount of mass of the sand, there's a gimmick there. There's a deal where they become quicksand. Right?
Oh, okay. It's like a recipe.
It's a
recipe for death.
Quicksand is a big deal. If you think about quicksand, it's awesome, right? It exists because you've seen these things where it sucks up like tanks and whole trucks and stuff. I don't think I've ever been in quicksand, but I think I've seen stuff that looks sort of like quicksand. It's kind of swampy looking. Mm-hmm. I just don't go there. I'm not darn sure not going to go on a vine over it or anything.
One doesn't really seek out quicksand, and I don't know that we ever really travail in places that might contain it.
It's more of a jungle thing, and we don't have jungles up here.
No. Next up, Ricky DeRocher asks, if the sun is on fire, how come there's no smoke?
You want to tackle that one, teacher Boat?
I don't know. Seems like there should be.
I don't know. Is it a proper fire? Like, how's the
It's not.
oxygen
I mean,
getting
it's
out?
not a proper fire like you or I would make. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
The sun.
so.
What are we
Like,
doing
it's some
here?
sort of cosmic rays, both sort
Yeah.
of like in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I'm gonna go with that.
Lobsterminator asks, "Do you have any other retro interests not relating to computer or gaming?"
Yes, absolutely. Both of us do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both. You're a big record. Well, you were a big record collecting guy. That's pretty retro. And of course, console stuff. I've got a whole slew of. Of course, I like old radio shows, comic books. Sort of, I dabble in an antique now and again. You know what I mean? So I'm into that. I used to collect baseball cards and stuff.
That's not
That
really
were,
a retro hobby, though. He's asking
no,
for
well,
retro
no, that's
interests.
retro. That's a retro hobby, depending on what year you're collecting from. You know, so that's the way I look at that. I mean, I everything I've ever collected, I didn't want anything contemporary. So that's the way I look at it. I always look for older stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because I always thought that was better and the value was better. So that's sort of. What about you? What do you got?
Um. Now, I mean, nothing because I sold everything. But in the past, I've collected I mean, almost anything you can think of. Like, I went through phases where I was really into old coins. Like, I collect, like, old, like, Carson City silver dollars from, like, the early 1900s.
Ooh, neat.
Old, like, Mercury dimes and stuff like that.
Yeah, my
Um,
dad collected that stuff too.
yeah. Records was probably my biggest thing. I had a big record collection that got even bigger when I lived in England, and was working at Oxfam, and I would just snap up anything cool that came through the doors, and tons of awesome stuff came through the doors. I feel like I could probably get into what Lobsterminator mentioned, some retro hi-fi gear. I love like
Oh,
reel tapes and stuff like that. I think that would be a cool thing to get into. Like if I ever move totally out of the gaming space and I need something to fill that void, I would probably go that route.
You brought something up. This is off subject. You said if you might get into that if you move out of the gaming space, which is corporate mumbo jumbo for if you get sick of this crap and move along. Can that actually happen? I mean, did you see a day? Because I mean, you are pretty not to rag on you, but you're kind of flighty.
Mm-hmm.
You'll turn on a dime. Can you see a day where you're just like, oh, screw all this, and
Yeah,
then you just stop
absolutely.
playing video games? Or
Like if I ever move again, we will never live in a house as big as this house again. Half of the reason why I like retro games is because I like having them on the shelves. Like, I love just sitting here. Like, I'll be sitting down here working on something, and I'll just look around the room, and it makes me feel happy because I'm surrounded by these these games. The amount of time that I spend playing video games, except for the games that we play for the show, is vanishingly small. Like, I am not a big game player these days. Most of my hobby time I spend reading, or I don't know. Like, I've definitely played more stuff now that I have the system that I have set up now, where I've got like the monitor and I pull down a computer off the shelf. But I will go like a couple weeks without doing any of that stuff, and then I'll do one of my streams, and that'll sort of get me back into it. It's hard to say, would I ever stop completely playing video games? Probably not, because emulation is so good. I mean, I'll always have a PC, and I'll, like, say that we move back to Thailand and we're living in some like one room house. Like, I'll still have a computer, and if I want to fire up Pac-Mania on MAME, it's real easy to do. But I will stop when we stop living in this house. I will never collect video games again. I guarantee you.
you got an interesting slant there, Bud. But that, yeah, I was just wondering how you'd go on that. I can't see myself ever, unless I've had to sell everything, which that's happened several times in my life, where I've had to part with almost everything I own, and you never know what's going to happen. But aside from that, as long as I can keep my head above water, I'll keep everything because I like it. I'm like you. It's funny you talk about the boxes on the shelf. Because this sort of falls in line with the story we're talking about on Amigos about the guys selling the games, the limited run games.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's ultimately what people do. I mean, surely people never. The funny thing, the most amusing thing about these box sets, like a Turrican, is that chances are the people that get this will never open it and never receive the stickers or the enamel badge
Well,
or anything in the first place.
I wonder that about almost everything these days,
Yeah.
because we live in a collector's market for everything. Like, how many Spectrum necks are never going to get opened? You know, they're going to be
there's gonna be
passed.
some.
Well, there'll be some, but I wonder how many people buy them solely to keep sealed in the hopes that the value will go up over time. And that's one thing that just never happened, you know, with video game stuff in its first run. Like, nobody was thinking, man, this copy of Clue Land for the NES is going to be, you know, really rare one day.
Yeah, collecting has taken a bizarre. Well, I mean, it's just. I guess it's a natural.
It's just
step
caught
into
caught
that
up with
area.
all the other collecting things. You know, video game collecting is now just like baseball cards and comics and all that nonsense.
Yeah. It's funny because all of which I've abandoned at one time or another. So there you go.
No, I mean,
maybe
you've never abandoned comic books.
Yes, I have. I haven't bought new comics for years.
But it's not like you got rid of the comics you had. You still enjoy the comics you have.
I do.
Moving on. Let's see. Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, asks, what board games do you enjoy playing best?
Well, we used to play board games all the time, didn't we, Bo?
Yeah, man.
I miss that, really do. And the sad thing is there were great ones that I can't remember. The ones I enjoy the most are, I love Puerto Rico. I guess that counts. It's not really a board game.
Yeah,
so
Puerto Rico is totally a board game.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I can't. I'm trying to remember. I remember. I like Catan.
Yep.
I like Ticket to Ride.
Mm-hmm.
I like Power
Grid.
Power Grid and its sequel quite a bit. I like some of those games where you team up to win. The Camelot, Shadows of Camelot. I like that. Pandemic that used to be a lot more fun than it is now.
Yeah.
But I like that one. What's it? Carcassonne? Is that the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. So I've got a lot of board games, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because there was a time when we played every single game that was ever released for a long time.
Right. Well, some of our circle still does.
Oh, Robo Rally.
Mm-hmm.
That's another good one. So yeah, the Cthulhu games we've been playing over at Chad's. Those are fun. I like those as well. The board ones, Shadow of the Innsmouth, and that sort of stuff. So what about you?
I like all the ones that you mentioned. I mean, all those that you mentioned are sort of in the Hall of Fame for board games: Carcassonne and Catan and Ticket to Ride, and they're all great. They're for good reason, you know. But my favorite is probably Power Grid Factory Manager, the sequel to Power Grid. I like Power Grid, but towards the end of the game, I feel like your ability to be able to do lots of math in your head helps tremendously. And towards the end of Power Grid, my brain just explodes because it's gotten to be so complex. But I really like Factory Manager. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually created my own board game. Do you remember that, Aaron?
What was it called?
It was called Arcade Fever.
I remember Brent doing one.
Yeah, Brent created a game called Hun Commander.
Yeah.
And I made a game.
The arcade game. That was yours.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I remember that. I thought Brent did that. That was yours.
Yeah, that was me.
That was fun. I like that one.
Yeah. One day I'll get it out again. And I got hung up trying to write the rules. Writing rules is a real drag because you're thinking of every possible scenario that can happen.
Yeah.
And I sort of got bogged down in it.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, I will say. We used to go to the con in Charleston. They would have the board game competitions up there, and I remember one year me and Brent played all the games that were up for the competition. That was kind of neat to play all the different types of games, you know. So it's neat. I like the idea of creating a game. I've had one in my head for a while, but I just don't have the jack to create a game.
Yeah, like Race for the Galaxy is my favorite board game. It's a card game, so I mean it doesn't have a physical board, but it's the same sort of, it's the Euro style type thing.
Yeah,
I can play Race for the Galaxy all day long. But
funny, that's not one I enjoyed that much. I had trouble with that one.
It's not any. You really have to play it a ton, which is part of the problem with it. But you're right. We used to play board games all the time, and now we never do because we do.
Yeah.
Amigos, the podcast about everything Amiga.
Well. What changed for me is just get a new job because I used to drive right past where the board game night was, and now I go in the exact opposite direction of the board night game.
That's true
game
too.
Night. So otherwise, I would still be doing it. Yeah.
Let's see.
I've got Star Trek Catan, by the way, for whoever was that Frodo. I'm looking at it right here on my shelf.
Simulant asks, Do Americans eat a weekly Sunday roast with their families?
No.
Yes.
You do?
Well, I mean, can you definitively say that Americans don't eat a weekly Sunday roast with their families?
Yeah, I think I can. I think that's not a tradition here. I guess is what I'm saying.
I think well,
don't
like
know
when I was
anyone that
growing
does
up,
that.
like I know that like there were definitely people that I knew, like my friend Logan, that his mom would make like the equivalent of like a Sunday roast dinner every Sunday.
But I mean, do you know anyone doing that now?
I mean,
I'm not sure I've known anyone that ever did it. You know, not a weekly thing where the family all gets. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it just in my world, no, it's a big no.
I would say that there are. I don't know if it's a Sunday roast in terms of like this is roast beef and we eat roast beef every Sunday, but I think like the Sunday dinner, especially if you come from a church going family, I think that like getting everybody, especially if you have like extended family that live nearby, that seems like a thing that probably still happens. It's definitely it's probably not as common as it once was, but I think that it's definitely a thing that happens. Now, is it the same as in England? I don't know, because I just don't know what a Sunday roast is like. But I think that like of all the days of the week, if you're going to gather together with your family to eat like a sort of better dinner, wouldn't you say Sunday is probably the day?
Yes, but it's not something that I would like to do that. It's funny in America. Now, I can't. Again, I'm speaking just from my perspective. The whole family gathering. It doesn't seem like it. When I was a kid, that seemed to happen more. Maybe it's because I didn't have a choice in the matter, or maybe it's because it did happen more. But or even eating dinner together is something that's. I wonder how often that happens. I mean, surely not as much as when I was a kid, but maybe I'm wrong. Bo, it's
hard to know because I just don't know that many parents that have families that are sort of like the family that I grew up with, where, mom and dad both work hours that allow them to be home in the evening and stuff like that. And my family didn't really, at least until maybe my brother and sister after I left home, but like none of us played like crazy travel sports where you're gone all the time and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I wish it did happen. I really do. I think that'd be nice. But it's like I said, schedules and whatnot. It's tough. Or just something we don't do.
Yeah. Simulan also asks. Also in the UK, gravy is what we have on our Sunday roast dinners. What is gravy in the USA? How would you describe gravy, Aaron?
I don't like gravy, so
I'm surprised to hear that. You seem like somebody that could really pack it away.
You're saying because I'm a big fat guy.
Yeah.
What you're saying. And gravy is synonymous with. Thank you, Bo.
Well, I'm just saying.
When you squeeze me hard enough, gravy comes out. Is that what you're saying?
It's like biscuits and gravy. You don't like biscuits and gravy and Bob Evans?
I don't like gravy. No, I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of biscuits, but I don't like gravy.
Huh.
It's weird tasting. It makes your stuff wet. I don't like it.
It's true. Well, it's like mayonnaise. It moistens your food, so it's easier to go down the gullet. Well, you like mayonnaise?
It's not like. It's not exactly like mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise on much. I'll eat it on a sandwich. That's about it. I don't put gravy on. I don't put mayonnaise on what gravy would go on.
I love gravy.
Some people love gravy. Yeah,
I love it. Gravy can be many different, and gravy's different things to different people. You can have gravy that's based like a turkey gravy, and that's going to be a lighter color. A beef gravy is usually darker and thinner. But I think gravy is the same in America as it is in England. Like I don't think it's different. Simulant.
Yeah.
He asks, if you could have any job, where would you work and what would you do?
Huh. Why don't you answer that one first, Bud? I think you've got the answer because you've got the job you love, right? So
right. I would literally do the same thing that I do now. I would just jettison all of the other crap that I hate. Like, I would still want to be a band director, but I'd only want to direct like 1 or 2 periods a day. Just have like one band rehearsal a day. Not have to deal with parents. Not have to deal with cafeteria duty. Not have to deal with like morning traffic. I'd get rid of all the crap that I hate, but I would literally do exactly what I do right now.
I think I would like to own a store, a business.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to this place called the Rusty Scabbard. It's still around. It's in Lexington. It's like a place that sells role playing stuff and Warhammer stuff and miniatures and that kind of stuff. I think I'd like to have something sort of like that, except the problem with that is you've got these geeks that come in there and just hang out telling
Loitering.
D&D stories
Yeah.
all day long right up front, and people try to steal from you. So I guess my ideal business would be a place where I could sell things that I was knowledgeable on or enjoyed without worrying about getting robbed or having to put up with a bunch of degenerate goofs. So
Yeah.
it's somewhere in fantasy land.
Well, yeah, I mean, like in this fantasy world, just like I can be a band director without having to deal with parents or whatever. Like in your world, you can be so wealthy that it doesn't matter if people steal from you. You're just happy running this business and talking about stuff that you like.
Something else that would be fun to do is, and this is not going to happen, but it would be fun. I really enjoy. I enjoy like fooling around Twitch and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and not that sound like my kid here. I want to be a YouTube star, but
That's
it would
every
be
kid.
fun to just have all day to devise things to do and put up. Like me and you both sort of try to think outside the box on some of our wackier antics, but like I want to do a show where we get together and write and produce an old radio show.
Oh yeah,
And I want to play board games online.
you're right.
And I want to play Dark Tower online. And I want to have a mobile camera and go on tours of weird spots in West Virginia stuff. I'd love to have the time and the money to do all that kind of crazy stuff that I can't do.
I agree with you. I think that that is the winning submission, because I would love to do all that stuff too. That would be great. I'd love it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Chris Folds asks, okay, this is an interesting question. If I could sell you a machine for $2,000 that could play everything perfect, he doesn't specify, so I'm guessing every game that's ever been released perfect, connect to everything, and look totally BA, would you sell your old machines to buy it?
I think the question's already sort of been answered in a lot of ways, because there are machines out. This is a funny hobby, and we've talked this before, privately, but this goes back to that comment I had on the jukebox years ago. Like, I went out and bought a jukebox full of 45s. It weighed 1,000 million pounds. It needed all kinds of work. I toted it into the house like a pack mule. I cleaned it. I screwed with it, right? And then I looked beside it, and I had a little box that could play 1,000 times more stuff right now in better quality than this jukebox. And it occurred to me that if you look at this hobby in the right perspective, you're an idiot. It's just like arcade collecting. I would tote all these arcade machines around, and it was so stupid. They're heavy. They're hard to move. They're easily breakable. They're old. And you can play all the games. So why do you do it? I don't know is the answer. I don't know why you do it. So if I could buy a machine that would play all the games when I sell my old ones, no. I don't know why. Because there are plenty of machines out there now that I could sell my old stuff to and buy. I could have like the ultimate super Mister set up, and it'd be awesome, play everything. And I could do that now, but I'm not going to do it. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is that makes me want to keep around this old, flaky stuff that me and you bitch about it more than anybody, about how this doesn't work, the screen's screwed up, and I don't know how to load this, but we still do it, and I don't know why. So there's my answer. No.
Me neither. With my computer now, I can play everything that has ever existed up to this point, even like PS3 games. And I still like taking the Atari 1200 XL off the shelf and connecting it to my CRT monitor and playing with the gym stick with the top that I ate. It's something about the ritual. It's something about looking at the thing, and it's connected with your memories, and it makes me happy. So emulation can't do that all the time.
I will say this as a happy medium in this conversation. The Amiga sits in my Amiga 500. So when I'm looking right at it here, there's an Amiga 500 right here, Bode. So in my mind, here's this Amiga. I don't think very often like, oh, there's a weird thing in here that makes everything easier. But I played this about 1,000 times more than I used to. Okay. So what does that mean? Does that mean the Amiga means less to me, or I'm going to sell my Amigas? No. But am I going to take the path of least resistance? You got that right. Now, is there a possibility in the future if they released a board that made the Amiga 1000 super easy to use, would I buy it? Probably not, but it's possible. It's everything can change on a dime, you know. And for me, but I don't see myself selling my stuff to get an all playing stuff. But you never know. You never say never.
If they build an Amiga that would fit in an Amiga 1000, I would probably buy it.
Yeah, you know. Well, I mean, I don't blame you, especially considering the fact that you don't have to destroy the 1000,
right?
And you can still sort of you still sort of feel like you're using.
Well, it's the same as the way that you use the 500. You know, there's no need for you to get another Amiga to run in your 1000. You've already got one Amiga. So
we talked about the Vampire when it came out, and remember how many times I flaked out back and forth if I thought it was a good idea, if I didn't. Is it real Amiga? Is it not? I think I've come to the conclusion that I should tell that part of my head to shut up and just play the thing, and if it works, don't worry about it. So that's sort of where I'm at now.
All right. Well, we will see you next week, or in a couple weeks, or maybe in 1 week, for the next edition of Ask the Amigos. All right, and then we'll just start it again.
Are we going into a part 2 here?
This is part 2.
Okay.
There's going to be 16 parts. Just ready yourself. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ask the Amigos. We've gathered all of the questions from our Discord channel from the past month, and we are going to be answering them for you right now. First up, a question comes from Simulant, and he says, Lobsterminator asks, as both a religious person and music buff, this is a question for me. As both a religious person and a music buff, what is your opinion on Christian rock and pop? That's a good question, Lobsterminator. I don't see anything wrong with Christian insert whatever, like Christian rock, Christian rap. If that is your thing, like if that helps you feel closer to, if you're a Christian, if that helps you feel closer to Christ and makes you grow spiritually, then I'm all for it. I think that Christian music, much like all music, varies wildly on the quality scale. And unfortunately, I think a lot of bands that can't hack it in the commercial pop world, make a turn to the religious music scene and find more success there. There's also, it is what it is. Those people are just trying to get by, just like everybody else that's performing. I think where I have a problem with it is when it's used during actual church services, because I'm of the opinion that a church service shouldn't be like a rock concert. Like the band shouldn't be the thing up front that everybody's got their eyes on. But since I'm Roman Catholic, I guess that makes sense, because just our the mass is so much different than that. But there's some Christian rock bands I like. I think Jars of Clay is pretty good. There's a band called Welcome Wagon that's pretty good. If you like Sufjan Stevens, it's sort of like that. But I guess my opinion on it mostly, is just it's the same as any other kind of music.
I've got an opinion on this one, Bode.
Okay, man. Let's hear it.
First of all, let's talk about Stryper.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Very famous
buddy,
Christian rock band.
The Hose had a big Stryper poster on his wall. And I remember I went in there with Rich, and Rich is like, man, look at who are these band full of hot chicks? I buried him right there on the spot. No, Christian rock is not my bag. And I think the main reason, it's not because I have problems with them heaping praise or whatnot, but I mean, when you look at any music form, with the exception of, say, a hymn, there is no limitation to what that is. When you've got a Christian band, you're right there. You're really limiting the scope of what you're going to sing about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you go in expecting certain things.
Right.
And so I think that it's no easy task to get over as an artist. Now, I understand what you're saying about them. Maybe sometimes the less talented bands sort of roll over there, But there have been some good singers that rolled out of there. Your Amy Grants comes
Oh
to
yeah,
mind.
like
And
Marvin Gaye, like tons of people from the gospel scene.
oh yeah, but I mean, like, who was the guy? It's something. He had his middle initial in his name, something C something. Or
Oh,
something
Michael
G
W.
something.
Smith.
That's him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that had a couple of hits that rolled right out of the scene. So I mean, it's not like it's not like you got a bunch of duds in there.
Oh no, not at all.
Plenty of talented singers in there that do that sort of thing. Then you've got people that kind of go back and forth. But if I were going to turn into a radio station, it's not going to be a Christian rock station, just because I'm just going to get. Even if you're a big fan of hymns or the Lord or whatever, you're just going to get tired of hearing the same subject matter over and over. And that's
I totally agree with you, and I think that part of another sort of issue that I have is that pop music, by its very nature, is sort of ephemeral. It's sort of by its design to be here today and gone tomorrow. And when you think about like songs of praise, maybe they should be built on a little firmer foundation than something that sounds like Lady Gaga or Madonna. Not that there's anything wrong with those people, but I mean, like, what a lot of Christian pop sometimes can turn into is like, this is a song that sounds like Jesus is my boyfriend, and that seems a little weird to me. So anyway,
I remember hearing a story one time I don't know how this happened. It's some kind of rock, and this could be a crap story. Somebody can confirm this, but there was some sort of event where Stryper was coming up before Slayer. All right. And Slayer, they are literally in league with the devil and Lucifer, and you've got Stryper. But I remember one of the things Stryper used to do was throw little Bibles out,
right,
like little testaments out to the crowd. And this crowd was pelting Stryper with these testaments. I remember hearing that. So while they're up there singing, they're getting nailed with Bibles. That always struck me as amusing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I've heard that story too.
So there you go.
All right. Thank you, Lobsterminator. Good question. Lord Soup asks, Fantasy Amiga question. Someone releases a new Amiga, say an 060 or AGA, loads of fast RAM, all the letters, HDD, micro ST, super fast SCD, but they were charging full Amiga wedge money for it. So I had to read this whole thing. I'm going to try and summarize it for you. Somebody releases a top shelf spec Amiga, okay, all on original hardware, but it's also got micro SD, and it's got the all the CD32 pad comes with it.
Okay.
But they're charging $500. Are you going to shell out for that? So this is basically like, what if they made an Amiga version of the Spectrum Next? I guess
$500 would be that would be a fantasy if that was true, because how you can't get the pad for that. So I guess I would have said no, because I don't need that kind of power. But that's a cheap price to pay for something that awesome. So there's a chance, if I had the money, that I would buy it, because admittedly I'll never need an 060 with all that crap on it, but that's so cheap that I think it's a good deal. So I would say maybe if I had the cash. There you go.
Me, no. I would probably not buy anything for $500. Just anything, anytime, anywhere. That's a lot of money for a video game.
There you go.
The Slow Norris asks, what kind of vehicles do you drive?
I drive a Jeep.
You drive a Nissan sometimes too, right?
That's Tree's car. I don't.
But
drive
you cruise around in it sometimes.
No, I never drive it. It's a death hole in that thing. I mean, it's filthy, as you would imagine. And then my work truck is like a Ford Explorer or some kind of.
Oh man, that's nice. Those are nice cars.
It's not. It's not nice. It's as plain Jane as the state didn't spring for all the extras. Trust me. It's old too. It's also got hundreds of thousands of miles on it. So, but it gets me around.
Aaron, can you push your microphone down just a little bit so we can see your face? There we go. Perfect. So I drive a Lambo, of course. Now I drive a Hyundai Sonata, which is a totally boring like sedan, but I love it because like I really like the way that it drives, and I love the interior, and it's modeled off a Mercedes GLA. It's a really nice looking car, but it's really totally boring. Like, I almost bought a Jaguar, and I kind of almost wish that I would have, even though they're a nightmare to maintain. They break down all the time. But part of me still wishes that I'd bought it. And then we also have an SUV. We've got a Ford Edge, which is a small, for Americans, a small SUV. It would probably be a full-size SUV in Europe. And we use that when the weather's bad or when we're hauling like garden supplies and stuff like that.
You guys get some top shelf cars over at the boathouse.
Well, yeah.
You had that. Then you have like a hybrid.
We had, man, that thing. Talk about a money pit. We bought that thing, and then we drove it for a couple years, and then the battery went out on us, and the battery costs half as much as the car, and
that's where they get you.
We got rid of that thing.
You can't go over to the Dollar Tree and stuff 400 of the Dollar Tree batteries.
Sunbeams.
Yeah.
Paul, aka and then do you love your vehicle, Aaron?
No,
I
don't love it. I look at cars; they're just it's sort of like a blender or something. I don't have any affinity for a machine like that.
I do love
a
my
PC.
car.
Same thing. I don't care. Maybe if I had a Jag, I'd care more. I'm worried. I'm not in the same ballpark as a Jag. They're there right now, and they are real tough to take care of. You made the right call. I used to work for a Jag dealer.
Do you have a dream vehicle?
Well, like I said, I'm a big fan of the '60s Batmobile. That would be cool. I really would like to have. You know what? Here, I'm telling you, I would love to have a '70s van. A Chevy van. That's all right with me, with the big picture on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I read this comic called Knights of the Dinner Table. One of the guys in it has a '70s van with a beautiful portrait of Babylon 5 on the side. He's sort of geeky.
Mm-hmm.
I could go for something like that. And I want one of these deals where in the back of it's got that real plush fur type carpeting.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a disco ball.
Mm-hmm.
I want something like that. Like, I want to go all the way.
That would be awesome.
I would like to have that. Yeah.
I picture it being not the Babylon 5, just that sort of like rusty orange color, but it's actually paint. You know what I'm talking about, that you used to see on cars?
Mean.
Yeah.
My neighbor when I was a kid, they had one of those vans with a lion on the Sahara, sort of like paint on the side.
I love it.
And I remember thinking, see, this is I mean, because these are vehicles that have a cool picture on them, but
right?
They're art,
right? They're art.
Yeah.
My dream vehicle. I always talk about the Karmann Ghia whenever this question comes up, but these days. Cool. Volkswagen makes a camper van called the California. And even though it's called the California, it's not for sale in the United States. And this is it's a compact van. I mean, it's no bigger than like a minivan pretty much, but it's got a pop-up roof. You can sleep up there. It's got like a sink in it and stuff and some couches. So I think that would be pretty cool to take a road trip on.
I think it's called the California because once you buy it, suddenly you're billions of dollars in debt.
Yeah,
that's why it's called that. And also, occasionally, you run out of electricity in the
car. Let's see here. Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, writes, do you eat food that's past its expiration date if it still smells and looks fine?
Absolutely. And milk. Yes. Those expiration dates are a suggestion, not a rule. But
Yeah, that's true. In fact, I've heard that I remember this from when I lived in Sheffield. I remember reading something on the news or something where they were actually thinking about taking off expiration dates because so much food gets thrown away because the expiration date doesn't really mean anything,
Yeah.
So,
and drugs are even worse. I've heard effectively most drugs don't have an expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
They now I can understand why they get rid of drugs, but I've heard that they're a lot of drugs. It's a they just put them on there,
Yeah.
But when it comes to food, I mean, I'm not going to fish crap out of the trash or something. But I mean, if I've got some milk and it ran out, say yesterday, I'm not just going to toss it. A tree will toss it right out. They don't. That's sold by a date. It doesn't mean it's bad,
right?
Canned foods like that. I mean, canned food, it's not going to go bad on you, unless it's like a decade or something.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Paul also asks, if you were given $5 million to open a small museum, what would your museum be for and look like?
I would have loved to have. In fact, I came an ace of trying to get this going, and I stopped just because I remembered I was in West Virginia. But there's a building downtown Hurricane that's just the right size, and it's an old looking building. It's got a parking lot. I would love to have like an arcade / classic computer or console like room there, like it's sort of like a playing museum that I could put in there, and then the back of it's got a big workshop, so all the local arcade people that could contribute to the museum and would still own the pieces could work on their stuff or store it there for for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to do that. I think it could be done.
Oh, for $5 million, you could do it 20
no,
times
I'm
over.
talking without the $5 million. If I had $5 million, it would be like that to the nth degree.
Right.
I would love to see something like that. But this is not the time to be starting. I mean, we see these museums are flopping over all over the place. So this is right now. Even if I had the $5 million, I would just hold on to it till the times got better.
I would open up. Do you remember Jamie and Mike? They marched in drum and bugle corps during the summer.
Yeah.
I would open up a museum dedicated to the history of drum and bugle corps because it's an amazing activity that has a really rich history. For people that don't know, they're outside the United States. Drum and Bugle Corps is, they used to be based off of a lot of VFWs, a lot of veterans clubs would sponsor them, a lot of Catholic churches would sponsor them, and kids would get together and learn how to play an instrument, either a drum or a bugle, and they would go on tour during the summer and they would play at parades and they would have competitions and stuff like that. And they were this very localized activity that was different than the band programs that were at schools. And a lot of times back in the 60s, there weren't band programs everywhere, and there wasn't, marching band didn't turn into what it is now. By the time the 80s arrived, this sort of thing had been phased out because marching bands looked at what drum and bugle corps did and just copied it. But it's got a really rich history, especially in the 50s and the 60s. I like any sort of like very localized history where you have these groups, and plus I'm a big band nerd, so that makes sense. But that's what I'd open.
You think they'll draw a boat?
Absolutely not. It would be a huge flop, but I have $5 million. I can keep it running for a year or two.
Just sink it in there until the money runs dry.
That's right.
See, I was thinking of a money making sort of potential.
Well, if you think that a computer museum has money making potential in Hurricane, West Virginia,
I don't.
Yeah,
not here. No, I don't think either one of our ideas are going to work here. If we made like a bluegrass music jug band museum, we might have a chance.
That would be onto something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Paul, his final question, he asks, when was a time you acted nonchalant but were going crazy inside?
A lot of times.
That's most of your life, I figure, Aaron.
I try to no-sell a lot, Bode, as you know. Mostly personal stuff. Occasionally, I mean, that's happened on this show with Brent, on the other show, like in conversations I have at work, conversations I have at home, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Because
I consider myself a pretty low-key guy, but internally I'm out of control. So I'm good at controlling. I'm a very jumpy. You've seen me go off a few times. I mean, I kind of suppress that, but it happens all the time. And occasionally, a good example, we were just talking about on the last show when I was reading about that turrican thing. The more I read about that, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And so when we were filming the last show, I tried to stay cool, but internally I wanted to explode all over this thing. But I know secretly, that guy, remember when we reviewed Severed Heads?
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy comes on and he's like, yeah, that was my game on the YouTube, right? All the time we play a game that I think is really bad, I try, and I know you don't do this. You'll bury anything you hate, but I try to not kill it because of just that situation where the author's like, "Hey, you killed my game." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, man. I know you worked hard on that. I feel like a jerk." So yeah, but that happens to me a lot, and I don't know. Now, what about you? Because you're a pretty emotional guy.
Yeah, most of the time it's when things are like when somebody tells me something that I really like, and I want to start dancing around and going crazy. Then I usually keep that inside. But if somebody angers me, I have a hard time keeping that in. And so
you actually suppress your own joy.
I suppress joy far more often than I suppress anger.
See, I don't do that. We're totally opposite on that boat. I mean, it's not like you're some kind of raging death machine.
No, well,
but I mean, I have seen you get mad.
Yeah,
you do. But I mean, it's not like, and even your anger is not like ham-fisted slugfest. It's
no. I just get really mean. I just get really mean and like biting and sarcastic and not pleasant. That's the extent of it. So
you're good. I mean, you'll take. I've been taken to school by you, and it's very you can lay it on if you want to.
Well, it's not.
I think
it's
that's
nothing
sort
to
of
be
a
proud
compliment.
of. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not. Everyone gets mad, Bo. That's what I'm saying. You're a human being, my friend.
Well, it's funny because when Eep talks about you, she always says the same thing. She's like, Aaron always says something nice. That's her favorite thing to say about you.
Well,
And
good.
so,
I'm glad I'm getting over with Eep.
Yeah.
I wish everyone was like that.
Barkbit asks, how many Scoville units can you handle? So you know what Scoville units are, Aaron? Okay, that's when it comes to like the spiciness of food. So Barkbit gives us a couple examples. A jalapeno is 5,000, Tabasco is 50,000, and standard U.S. grades pepper spray is 5 million.
Wow. I've been pepper sprayed, by the way. It's no
really?
good.
Tell me about that.
I was at a prison, and they had the old spray out, and I was doing the instrument when they sprayed a bunch of that crap all over the place, and so it sucked.
Were they doing it for fun?
No, they were spraying a prisoner.
Oh man! So you're in there like next to prisoners when you're working on this stuff.
Yeah.
I figured that they would not let the prisoners in when you're working on the instruments.
Incorrect, sir. The prisoners, I mean, it's not everywhere, but yeah, this place, I was right beside the holding cell, and the guard went in there and went to work. And the guard had warned this chick. It was chicks, by the way. She'd warned her 2 or 3 times, if you're good, don't do it. And by God, she lit her up, so that was no good. And that was, keep in mind that I didn't get it in the face. I was just in the vicinity, and it sucked. It was real bad. So I can answer this question easily. What would you say? Goebbels? What did you say it was called? Scovilles. Whatever the Scovilles is for mustard, that's as high as I don't like.
You mean stuff. like the spicy mustard at Chinese restaurants?
No, I mean the mustard you get at Kroger,
like yellow mustard, like hot dog mustard.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do hot. I don't like hot food.
I have gotten more accustomed to eating spicy food since Eep came along. I can eat jalapenos. Well, it's funny because according to Barkbit, Tabasco is 50,000, but I don't think Tabasco is that hot. In fact, I think jalapenos are hotter than Tabasco. So maybe Scoville units don't tell the whole story. But the things that are really hot for me are there's Thai chili peppers, which are really tiny, and those things will light you up. So I can't deal with those. Eep will eat it. She'll sit there and she'll eat, and tears will be running down her face. But she loves it, and she won't talk to me. If I try and talk to her, she gets upset. She approaches this with a different mindset than I do.
I look at people that eat my partner at work eats that real hot stuff. I look at those people with the same way I look at a real big time beer drinker. I like the darkest beers you can stand a fork up in. To me, this stuff is unedible or undrinkable. But to them, that's their bag, So, it's I love black licorice. Some people can't stand that stuff. Everyone's got a thing,
Yeah.
So there you go. Someone's eating that weird food that we got sent in the mail, that
Thunder salt
and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, someone likes it, but by God, it's not me.
If we're going on Buffalo Wild Wings, I can eat the wild sauce, which is the next to highest, but I don't enjoy it. But I can't eat blazing. Blazing is even Eep, she's no, it's just painful. So
I dip an uncoated wing in mayonnaise. That's as high as I can get.
That's nasty. Graham Vebke asks, if you could close down a fast food chain forever, which one would you choose and why? I have an answer ready.
Close one down. Go ahead.
Taco Bell. It is the nastiest. I mean, it literally tastes like something that you would feed a dog. It is so nasty that I can't even stand it. There are some things there that I can eat, like a cheese quesadilla. I can handle that. But any of the beef stuff, the beef is of such a low quality that it makes me gag, and I can't do it.
I'm not a fan of Taco Bell, but there's a few things on their menu I can eat. I don't go there if I don't have to. I'm gonna say, and this is an easy one for me, Panera Bread. Get it out. I've never liked this dump. I don't like the people that work there. I don't like the people that own it. Here you go. Here's your $17 bowl of soup. We'll just throw a chunk of bread we ripped off with our feet into the bag without anything around it.
You've got a point there.
Sucker.
Panera is pretty pretentious. Yeah.
And plus, it's the hippest of the fast food joints, And so you got that. I don't like it. Get it out. So yeah, Panera Bread gone.
Yeah. Okay. I'm halfway with you there. Graham Vebke asks, if you could make one invention, item, or product vanish forever, what would you choose and why?
Auto-tune.
But you love all that dubstep female vocal. That's auto-tuned out the wazoo.
Do it all natural. Listen, it's worth it. I'll take the hit. You go back and listen. I'm going to be a music snob now, but when I grew up, bands had to perform live and sound good. I'm not saying they can't do it now. There's a lot of great singers out there, tons, right? Even guys I don't like that can sing. But I hate it when they get some schlup, stick the auto-tune on them, and then there's your album. Get that out. I want someone that actually can. There's a zillion great singers that can't get signed, but there's a hot chick that they can auto-tune the crap out of and sign who can dance around so she gets a record deal. No good. We need more Mama Casses out there that can get in there and get it done for real. There you go.
I think that's a good. I can respect that. For me, and I say this honestly.
Frodo just buried you.
I saw that. It would be the smartphone. I look back at pictures and videos of before 2007, and I look at people, and people are living life. They're walking around, they're talking to each other, or maybe they're just staring off into space.
Yeah.
Those times that will never come back. Every concert you look at an old concert film and people are watching the concert. That's something that's never going to come back.
You probably expect me to bury you here, and there are plenty of reasons why I could, but here's the thing: you're not wrong. I'll give you an example. I had Uncle Larry up here over the weekend with his son.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Uncle Larry. Here I am being ultra interesting and super entertaining.
Right, as you always are.
I'm literally a one-man show. I'm like the same as Davis Jr.
Right.
All dancing, all singing.
Triple threat.
Listen, I could be doing the triple Lindy off the sofa into a shot glass, and I can't get this sucker to look up from his idiot game on his stupid phone. It does. People don't pay attention. You know what I hate? You're showing a guy, look at this video. You got to see this video. They're what?
Yeah.
Look at this. Hey, let's watch this movie. What? Hey, look at this old photo I found. They're the blessing and the curse of the world.
They are.
Mm-hmm. They are. Listen, I love the phone. I love using the phone. I love taking photos with the phone. It's great, right? But have we lost? What have we sacrificed? We've sacrificed our attention span. We've sacrificed conversational skills, our privacy. We've sacrificed a lot to have these cell phones, right? So, I'm not sure it was worth the sacrifice, to be honest with you. And that's for someone smarter than me to decide. But yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from.
What is one gift you want for your birthday but never seem to get, no matter how hard you drop the hints?
I don't ever drop hints because my goal is for my birthday to go by without anyone noticing every year. I'm very rarely successful. If I could have a gift on my birthday that I no one knows I want, I'm always looking for those EverDrive carts, stuff like that, and no one knows which ones I want, or no one even knows what they are. So I'm never going to get that sort of thing. But really, I don't really get too wound up on gifts and stuff. I'm happy with what I've got, and I really don't need anything else, to be honest with you. So I don't really get wound up about it. What about you?
When I was a kid, it happened a lot more. When I was a kid, I really wanted just nothing but video game stuff all the time. And so I would just be like, just get me this or that. But since I've grown older, it's just I have a hard time when people ask me what I want for my birthday. I have a hard time telling them, because usually if there's something I want, I just go out and get it, or I decide I can live without it. So,
we live in a day. We're very fortunate both. We're both working. We're okay. We're doing okay. But I wouldn't say we're at the upper threshold of financial kings or anything. We're making it, right? But we're in West Virginia, armpit of America, whatever. But we are so lucky to have all the stuff. Most people have so much great stuff, and they're so fortunate and so lucky, and they can do so much with what they've got. That I wonder why how much do we continue to amass before, I think I hit the wall. I think the boat challenge was thrust upon me without me even knowing it, because I don't feel like I need that much anymore. I think I'm top,
Right.
and I think you did it way before I did. So good for you.
Well, my whole life, I always just thought one day I'm going to have a basement and I'm going to fill it up with video games. And when I filled up my basement with video games, I checked it off, and that was the end. And so, all right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Ask the Amigos. We will see you next week with another one. All right.
Is there another one?
There's going to be like 16 more.
Oh my God! I've got to feed the kid here soon.
You said that you could hang out forever.
Wait, we've been on here for 3.5 hours.
No, we've been almost 3 hours. Let me see how many more we've got here.
I was here before you.
Okay, I think we should be able to burn through these in another half hour.
Okay, I'm not being a jerk. You know how it is, family stuff.
Okay.
Or I am being a jerk, family stuff.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ask the Amigos for September. We have amassed all of your Discord questions, and we will answer them thusly. First up, Kate Fox asks, what computers did you two use in school? Oh, and what grade were you in when you first saw one at school, and what did you use it for?
All right, I'll start the show on this one.
Okay.
No computers until I was in the 6th grade. That's the first time I ever saw one, and that was an Atari, or excuse me, a Tandy model. It was a 1 or a 3. I get because they sort of look the same, That was the first computer I ever saw, like, at school. And then eventually I saw some Atari 800s that came in. I think they were 800s both.
Yeah, they were 800s. They were still there when I was there.
And then eventually, when I got to high school, they had picked up enough computers for a computer class, and those were the old what were those? The old IBM, was it PS1s or
PS2,
something like that?
yeah.
What's the PS2s? And so that was what we had. And so eventually, when I got and by the way, keep in mind, I learned how to type on typewriters. So that's how old I am. So that eventually we got those computers in there. That was pretty much the extent of it. What about you?
We didn't have computers until I was in 5th grade, so I was almost the same as you. And those computers were the IBM PS2s, probably the same group that came in with yours.
Yeah.
We had one computer in the back of our room, and we never used it. I had a PC at home, so I was the wonder of the classroom because I could operate DOS commands and load games and stuff, and so people thought I was amazing. And then when I got to middle school, I took a step back in time because we had a lab full of Atari 800s.
Yeah.
And again, I was the wizard of the day because I had an Atari at home, and I brought in tons of games, and we played tons of games in those classes. So
that was a room full of those things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was quite a few in there. Yeah. I remember that.
And then when I got to high school, those same IBM computers from when you were there were still there. But I didn't take any computer classes in high school, so I very rarely used those.
I effectively taught class. You could ask Hose. He was in there. One day the teacher just turned over the reins to me, and I went up and taught the class. And he got so mad because I actually knew what I was talking about that I never got to do that again. Of course, this guy ended up getting fired for gross negligence. So there you go.
I will say that computers were not a part of the curriculum at all, like when I was in school. Any part of my public school experience, we had a computer class as part of like 8th grade shop. That was when I used the Ataris. Yeah. But other than that, there was no required computer class or anything. Nope. So I never used computers at school. Yeah. And I mean, this was still a time when most people were handing in papers that were handwritten. And so
not a big deal in West Virginia to this day.
No.
Yeah.
Dave Velociraptor asks, I'm 45. Am I more or less between your two ages? Yes, you are more or less between our two ages. Chris Folds asks, what's your favorite dessert? You've talked about this before. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's Mississippi mud.
Mississippi mud. I remember the answer to that one. That's good eating, Bode.
For me, it's probably brownies. I like brownies.
I like fudgies. I've told you about those.
Yeah.
Half brownie, half fudge, or Mr. Donut. Those are also at the top of my list.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah,
you know, I like all the cheap crap too. Like, give me a Swiss cake roll any day. I'll eat like 6 right now.
Don't even get me started. Little Debbie's a good close
fudge
friend
rounds.
of mine. Oh yeah.
Oatmeal cream pies, the doubles. I'm in.
Wonder why I'm a big fat guy. You're killing me right now.
Chris Folds also asks, he says, I saw Oasis in a pub before they got signed, and me and my friends agreed no one would ever hear about them again. Can you name some occasions where you have been way off the mark? So this is not about bands. It's just, when have you been really wrong about something that took off?
Well, I can't say that. I don't think I've ever been wrong about somebody that took off. I will say, well, that's not true. I mean, I've got 2 things. My buddy played a Guns N' Roses, the Appetite for Destruction album for me. It was forever before anybody knew who they were, and I was like, "This is no good. This is too hard. This is Aaron of that era." And then Welcome to the Jungle came out, and they became mega stars. So it was, but this is way before that. That happened a bunch of times. People recommended stuff to me, and then I thought it was crap, and they got over. But when it comes to someone who was not what I thought they would be. And I'm sure I've mentioned this, but I saw Blue Oyster Cult in a little bar in Lexington, and they walked out on stage, and it looked like someone had raided the old folks' home of hippies, and they kind of dumped them on the stage. I was like, man, these guys are going to suck. And then they were the best thing I ever saw. So I will say, Blue Oyster Cult, they went from looking like garbage. Well, they still looked like garbage. They played like angels. They were awesome. So I'll say that.
Okay. Well, you've never remember, this is not about bands. The question isn't about bands. It's about what is something that came out that you thought would be a huge dud. It can be technology, it can be anything, and it took off.
iPad. I thought this was I still think it's no good. I thought the iPad I thought this is garbage. No one's buying this. It's been tried, and it didn't do well. I was like, this is not going to work. And then, boy, I sure looked like a jerk over that one because it got over like gangbusters.
I can't believe you answered that, because Pixels also put that in the chat just now, and that is also my answer. I thought the iPad was going to be the biggest flop in Apple's history.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's going to want to use a huge phone. They've already got a phone. They don't need a big thing that can't fit in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Still don't know how it got over. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, it's not even original. It's not like Apple, hey, listen, no one could badmouth the iPod. That thing was a piece of work. Okay. But and of course that had a big play on the iPad because that had sold so many of those and people were like into the Apple. They were into Apple at that point. And it's not to say that the iPad is ugly or is not functional. It'd been done, and it wasn't. No one cared. No one cared about that crap. I to this day, I'm baffled at the success of those. Not just the iPad, but all those things, the tablets. But man, they got over.
Yep.
Like gangbusters. So yeah, that's funny, but we actually agree on that with Folds.
Now, Frodo asks, "What's your favorite desert?"
I'm going to say, you answer that one first, Bode.
I'm going to go with the Gobi.
I got to think about that. My favorite desert. Let's go with the. It's too tough. It's tough. I'm going to go with what's the desert out there in California?
The
Mojave.
Mojave. Yep, Mojave Desert.
Let's go with Mojave.
That's a good choice.
Like to say the word Mojave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paul asks, "What's your favorite breakfast?"
I like pancakes from Cracker Barrel. They have to be from there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that with some sausage links, and maybe a big glass of milk. That's good. That's good eating. Yeah,
breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I love breakfast food. I really like the full-on Irish breakfast. Both years I went to Amiga Ireland, had it. Yeah. It's your basic American breakfast, but you also get that
whiskey.
But you get that blood sausage. You gotta eat a ton of that blood sausage, and there's a fried tomato they put on it, and so. I didn't think you'd be a fan, but I like that. That was good eating. Actually, also in Ireland, I ate Eggs Benedict for the first time in my life. That's also not a food I don't think you would like very much, but I thought it was great on toast.
But I thought you were going to say Biscuit World, since that seems to be, you think
I
that
love
place is
Tudors
so
too.
awesome.
Yeah, I love Tudors too. I would eat Tudors all the time, but I would weigh 600 pounds because it's pure lard in their biscuits.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Let's see. Chris, he's just being funny. Pixels at Dawn asks, what's your favorite type of natural setting? And he gives you some examples. Could it be a forest, a cave, a lake, beach, etc.?
Well, I do like a beach. There's no doubt about that. But here's what I like. When we were coming back from the Charleston, South Carolina, we got detoured off the interstate, and we went to this place called Pleasant Valley. All right, it's aptly named, and it was a dip into the mountains, so you could see all the mountains everywhere. But it was a valley. It was like tucked away down there. There'd be the long grass flowing. It was sunny, and it was kind of a breeze. I like that kind of atmosphere where you're in like a valley with like that fields in a valley. I can dig that too. I'm really down with that because I like to look up at the mountains and stuff around you, but you get that sort of like protected feeling.
Sure.
So
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
My favorite is I can tell you my least favorite. My least favorite is whatever we've got around here. Like owning a house in the woods in West Virginia is not my favorite. I don't like our normal sort of forestry, and I think it's just because I've grown up and it's just been all around all the time. Like my sister and her husband, they want to buy like a house out in like Greenbrier County or something like that. Never for me. It's like
awful beautiful, Bode. I mean, I love it around here. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's not for me. Although I do like all the natural things that the woods protect you from, like serial killers.
I think you just don't like it because all those trees fell over and you had to go deal with them.
That's true.
And about the fifth or sixth one, you were like, "Screw this. Where's the desert at?"
I like mountains that are huge. Like when I was in Japan, I remember seeing like looking across a field with like rice paddies and stuff, and then you see like the huge mountains rise up with like the snow on top and stuff like that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would probably go with that. I actually don't mind like being in a city either. Like with cities, there's always stuff to look at. It depends on where you are in the city, and what city you're in, but I don't mind a good cityscape. I'm not a huge beach person. Like I like the beach for about a day a year, and then past that, I feel like I've had my fill of the beach.
It's the sand that hoses you.
Yeah,
that stuff gets old.
Yeah. Having to like hose yourself off all the time and stuff like that. But overall, I think I just like variety. Give me a different place. I'd love to be rich enough where I could own different homes all over the place and spend like a week at a time at each one in a different environment. I think that would be cool.
Keep trying, man. You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
You'll be like Ted DiBiase, making his summer residence in Hurricane, West Virginia. That shtick.
Paul asks, do you think there might be life outside our planet?
I'm not sure there's life on this planet.
Boom,
sometimes.
chick.
Bam. Yes, I would say statistically it's probably yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that I would be very surprised if there was not life off the planet.
Would you be surprised if someone were to say life from other planets has visited Earth?
That's a great question. I think statistically the chances of that are very low.
What do you think, though?
I
read that COVID has caused UFO sightings to go up like 40%.
I'd like to hope so. Like I'd like to think that like some of that stuff is true. Like when you see lights up in the sky, maybe it's people that are like looking at us and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like a first contact moment though would be like it would trigger all sorts of like horrible behavior. It definitely wouldn't be like Star Trek. It would be like we'd have like wars and crap, and that wouldn't be good. So
yeah.
Paul also asks, he says, and this is more of a question for you because you're a parent. What's your views on limiting children's game times? Oh, I guess, or anyone for that matter.
It's definitely something you should consider. Listen, I'm ham and egging this fatherhood. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing the best I can, and I don't limit his video game play that much, and he plays games and watches videos all the time. If there's an idle, or right now he's in there watching videos and playing games, probably at the same time. Now I think back to what I did when I was a kid, because I don't remember my mom and dad coming in and saying, "Turn off that record player" or "Stop watching Battlestar Galactica." But it's a big difference, because the stuff we could do full time wasn't that much fun when I was a kid. I mean, if I'd had a handheld gimmick that had all these awesome games, I'd be probably the same way. I don't think I turned out all that bad, but much like you said with your phone answer from earlier, too much of that stuff, it does bother me. So yes, you should limit it. I do try to limit it, especially during school. But this also, the COVID's made it a lot tougher. I try to get him out of the house more and get more activities going, but again, it's limited. So it's just tough. It's tough. So yeah, I guess my answer is yes, there should be a limitation, but I don't know what it is, how to implement it, or how to enforce it. How's that?
Simulant asks, what's your favorite Rocky film?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay. My favorite Rocky film is Rocky 4. No, that's a lie. No, Rocky 1 is the
3.
best.
Rocky 3 is
Rocky
the best.
3? Okay.
Yeah, because you had Mr. T, you had Hulk Hogan.
That's true. The Hulk Hogan scene is great.
Here, baby,
yeah.
In the flesh. and that great scene where Hulk presses Rocky over the top rope, and then Rocky does the same thing to Hulk, which is ludicrous. But you've got Mr. T in there being awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just love that movie. Of all the Rockies, that's by far my favorite. Nothing even comes close to that one.
Let's see. Mitsuyama asks, what's the worst thing about the retro gaming hobby or scene? I'll answer this one because I've got an answer queued up in my mind. It's the people that don't let you enjoy what you enjoy. It's the people that say, hey, I really like playing this game. And they're like, oh, you're garbage because you're not using an RGB monitor. Oh, you're garbage because you're not using authentic hardware. Oh, you're garbage because you're not using a CRT. It's those people that ruin. They take what people enjoy and they try and twist it so they're not having as much fun because they haven't spent as much money or had the same experience that they had.
I understand where you're coming from on that, but I just ignore them, and so there's that.
I can't ignore them.
I can. On the flip side, what do I hate the most? I sort of touched on this a couple weeks ago, and a little insert this too. I think that the hobby, I think the enthusiast side of retro gaming is being overwhelmed by the collection side of retro gaming, which is I'm not saying there's not a happy medium, but I mean someone somewhere decided, hey, we can make a boatload of cash on this thing. And again, we talked about this earlier. I don't have a problem with that, but to me, they're sort of sucking the fun away from this to a certain degree. I sometimes look at this stuff and wonder, I wonder what's going on. I get mad with stuff like the Turrican thing. And like I said, more power to them if they can make the money, but I can't get in the head of the people that are participating in it. I don't understand what's going on. Another thing that boggles my mind, that doesn't boggle my mind, it's just something I can't do anything about, is that the stuff that I thought was interesting in the retro gaming era is being surpassed by newer retro gaming things. Like, no one gives a crap about the Atari 2600 anymore. Everyone loves the N64.
Nobody wants to play the Atari 2600. Just ask Neil.
Yeah, he buried it. I was watching that, that's hard to cope with, and that's something that everyone's been coping with since the retro thing started. The stuff that you consider retro, like I was talking to, I think it was Folds earlier, and he's telling me about to put the PS2 on the wheel, and I don't have a problem with that.
No,
but he's like, you're gonna get a lot of blowback. We did the Xbox on the wheel too. I don't care. I don't care about that. Oh, now, hey, it's your opinion. But like the PS2's retro for some people. For some people, it's blasphemy to think that the PS2 is there.
You're right. There you go. It's a funny thing.
Big wad of an answer. Yeah.
Let's see. L. Curtis Boyle asks, I know that you have both tried programming and it isn't really your thing, but have either or both of you thought of helping design a game along with a programmer?
I have dabbled back when I was younger. We talked about that a while back. I could not do anything to help anyone. I could maybe come up with a concept for a game, but it's. I'll be honest with you, I never really thought about it. The guys over. You ever listen to Retro Gaming Roundup? Right, they had a dude design a Retro Gaming Roundup video game with them in it. Right, this is before SoCal Mike left, and so they were all buddies still. And I thought to myself, I wondered if they had a say in what the game was. The Angry Video Game Nerds got a game. I wondered if he had a say in how that was like a Punch-Out clone. If someone said, Aaron, we want you to help design this game, not necessarily about me, but just in general, I don't know what I would. I don't know. I've never thought about it, so I'd say no. I've never thought about it, and I don't think I'd successfully give any ideas. What about you?
I don't think I'd be very good at coming up with an original design for a game. But I think that I'd be okay at identifying things that could improve an existing game. One of the things that I enjoy about the show is that we very rarely play a perfect game, but there's always one or two things that I think with a tweak could really take it over the top. And so whatever that role is in the game development process, I feel like I could do.
I think I'm going to give you credit there. If someone rolled a concept past me, I think that I could actually lend a hand on. Yes, because or it said, listen, here's what the game's going to look like. I could be like, hey, you're taking up 1/3 of the screen with the scoreboard, or hey, your mascot is a brick with 2 eyeballs. Wrong. Or like you're putting stickers in the box. We're 40. How about that? So yeah. We would be the crotchety old jerks that complain about the concept until they change it.
Yeah. Frodo NL asks, which character from Harry Potter do you identify with the most?
The fat bearded guy, Robbie Coltrane,
Hagrid.
I think played him. Yeah, I don't know anything about Harry Potter because I never watched any of that crap. But I like the fact that I like that guy. Plus, he's a big, weird, bearded freak. So I would go with that guy.
Hagrid's pretty good. Pretty good. I'd probably go with Neville Longbottom. I'll just leave it at that.
Enough said.
Simulan asks, what is your favorite ever baddie guy in an Amiga game?
My favorite bad guy in an Amiga game. Gosh. I got to think back here for a minute. What you got? Anything that comes off the top of your head?
No. There's nothing is really sticking out for me as far as
funny. The first thing that popped into my head was the Germans, because we've played a lot of games with the Germans.
You're down on the Germans today, man.
No, I love the Germans. Why don't you say Rocket Ranger and Wings? They were the Germans were the bad guys. Those are two things that popped into my head. And also the Escape from Colditz, which is what we did. They got hosed. They're to pay, but those came to mind. I can't right think of a real strong like bad guy in one of the games. It's
funny. One of the things that I think sets Japanese developed games apart from both American and European developed games is that there always seems to be, at least in the major franchises, the bad guy is almost as big of a star as the hero character. So for example, like who's the last guy in James Pond? Nobody knows, but like Sonic and Mario, it's like Bowser and Eggman or his whatever his name is I'm sure there are memorable bad guys in Amiga games, like final bosses, but I never get to them, so I never know who they are. I guess that weird looking jacked up crab thing at the end of the first level, Hybris. That's the one that sort of shimmies along.
I'm gonna. Remember when we did? Someone converted Karateka over to the Amiga way back, and we played it.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that there's a bad guy in that has a bird on his shoulder, and I believe he backhands the guy's girlfriend. I always thought he was sort of a jerk.
There's also the bad guy in Prince of Persia too.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah,
they could be the same guy.
What about your favorite hero, Aaron?
Lionheart, of course.
Of course.
That's a stupid question. He's the best.
Dave Velociraptor asks, what's your favorite lion-based Amiga game?
The Lion King.
I'm going to go with Brian the Lion.
It's Lionheart, of course. Double answer.
Chris Folds asks, what achievement are you proud of but most people would consider silly or weird?
Oh, man. God, so many of those. Because I do a lot of stupid crap. I'll be honest with you. I would go back when I put together my El Hijo de El Generico outfit. I was so proud of that outfit. I remember I was talking just the other day. I was spray painting those underwear in sub-zero temperatures on the front porch at Mud Mountain, spray painting them gold, and I was using the wine holders for my gauntlets. To pull up my. I was so proud of that cheap, ugly, stupid-looking outfit with the cape made out of a curtain. I love that thing. So yeah. I would say that would be right at the top of the list. My luchador outfit from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. What about you?
Probably like whenever I'm standing in front of the band and it's at a concert or something, and I know that like the band doesn't sound awesome to your average layman because it's a middle school band, but I just think about all of what we've come through from the time that they first picked up their instrument, and they didn't know anything. Like, that never gets old. Like, I've been doing this. This is my 8th year. And I still feel so proud that, like, I had a hand in taking them from knowing nothing to knowing something about something.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, that's not an accomplishment where everyone's going to think you're goofy. I mean, that's a proper feeling you're getting there. I think Frodo summed yours up. That power supply in the box, that was boat.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that is his
I am pretty proud of that, though. I drilled those holes in there with a power drill.
Yeah. I've still got it. It's sitting over here right now.
Simulan asks, what do you guys think of Amstrad's Mega PC? Imagine a world where you're writing a Word document and then you slot a Mega Drive game in and play Streets of Rage. So have you seen this thing?
Yeah. I think Neil had a look at this thing, didn't he? I like the fact that Sega licensed out their hardware to appear in these weird things. So I dig that. I would love to have one of those, frankly, but they're rare. So yeah, but that's cool. Those are real cool. I'm
agree.
Down with it.
I would like to see every PC have a cartridge slot in it, just there, just in case.
It's amazing that they didn't. In my mind, I mean, a lot of them did, but a lot of them didn't. It's surprising. Mm-hmm. The Amiga needed a good cartridge slot in it. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Flack asks, if the collection of Amigos retro gaming podcasts are the Avengers, which superhero best represents each show and or host?
Well, so we're the Avengers?
Yeah, so there's us, there's you and Brent, there's the Pixelgating guys, and there's Flack.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know anything about the Avengers, and I've never seen any of the movies because I find them insufferable, so you're going to have to take this one.
Oh, man. Well, Bo, you would probably have to be like Captain America.
Oh man, thank you.
You're a very wholesome young go-getter.
Wow,
like Cap.
That's high
praise.
praise.
You also abhor violence and you don't cuss. That's the same with Captain. That's a Captain America. He's the same way. But there's a little bit of Iron Man in there too. But you're mostly Captain America. I would say Brent would be probably like the Hulk, just a big lumbering idiot. There's more trouble than he's worth. But this Hulk has no Bruce Banner. He's just a lumbering idiot. I would say that the Pixelgating guys would be, let me see here. Those are two Californians who, so I would say Cody would be, I think Eric is sort of like Ant-Man, and Cody's sort of like Black Widow. So you got those two right there.
Isn't Black Widow a girl?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And then I would say that I would be, boy, who would I be? I would say Hawkeye, but more like the Hawkeye in the comics, the sort of argumentative, like jerk of the group that Roy has no superpower. I just kind of I have one thing I can do, and that's pretty much it. So I would say that would be me. So I think that's.
You forgot Flack.
Everybody out? Oh, Flack. Well, Flack is definitely Iron Man. There's no doubt about that. He's doing great out there. He's a smooth customer, just like he's a good talker, just like Tony Stark. So not too bad. So there you go.
All right, Avengers assemble. Right.
You got it, man.
Okay. Lord Soup asks, the ARG group of awesome shows and is expanding and absorbing like Tetsuo at the end of Akira. Who's
Creepy.
next?
It's creepy. That's a creepy film, by the way. Who are you going to absorb? That's a good question. Like an amoeba, we're just kind of sucking people in. Who's next on your hit list, Boat?
I don't know. I don't feel like.
How about Leo Laporte? Can you get him?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and get Leo. I thought about getting Joe Rogan, but he's a little bit too bush league for our network.
Who's got the biggest, most powerful Amstrad podcast?
I think there's a Spanish guy that's got an Amstrad podcast.
So what you're saying is there's no Englishmen that are taking on the Amstrad?
I think the only one is I think it's just a Spanish guy. Maybe he speaks English.
There's your answer.
All right.
Make it happen, somebody. Make it happen. I'm saying we got the Commodore, we've got sort of the indie scene, sort of newish, sort of oldish guys that pixel game. I don't know what we do. Whatever we do our thing. And an ARG covers all the weirdo stuff. So now but the Amstrad sorely underutilized, underappreciated boat. So
True.
I'd like to see an Amstrad guy.
Simulan asks, which Simpsons character are you most like, and which would you be if you could choose?
I'm most like comic book guy because I'm a big fat. I used to have the ponytail and everything. I got hassled a lot by that. But I would say I have more in common with Homer than I do anything else. What about you?
Oh, I'm definitely Milhouse, 100%. 100%.
No comment. I'm not saying nothing.
Which would I be if I could choose? I don't know. Probably Flanders.
I'd be Disco Stew.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah,
that's a good choice. Bundy asks, what car did you have that your nickname was derived from? My nickname was not derived from a car. It was derived from a They Might Be Giants song called Boat of Car. I've never owned a large car, and I hope to never own one. Frodo NL asks, what's your favorite modern PC game?
We're playing a game right now called Cross Cut.
Ooh.
I think is what it's called. It's a free-to-play car fight game.
Like Carmageddon?
One of these deals. It's like Carmageddon, but it's set in a different type of future. And also, you're not going out there to run over pedestrians. This is more like Interstate 76. It's sort of like with a little bit of Mad Max thrown in.
Interstate 76. What's that?
You never heard of that one?
It's like a gas station, the big orange sign.
It's a car game from back in the early 90s, the mid 90s, where it took place in like this disco-y 70s where the gas shortage never ended, and it was a car combat game. It was real cool. This is sort of like that, but it's modernized and it's cool. I get on there with my buddies. It's a lot of fun. There's missions you're running with your cars. You get to make your cars, and the cars can be like, think about taking two buses and smash them together and then put like a satellite dish on top and put like spikes all over it. These weird, bizarre creations. You can make anything. There's guys that make cars out of like old airplane parts and stuff. And so you get all these crazy looking vehicles. So I'm digging that right now. I love that. I'm playing a lot of that.
I'm playing a lot of Persona 4 Golden, which is not a PC native game, but it just got a PC port, and I love it. I also started playing Yakuza 0, and I'm enjoying that a lot more than I thought I would, but because you can turn off all the blood and the gore, because I couldn't handle it otherwise.
So you're a friendly, happy-go-lucky, non-violent Yakuza member.
Exactly.
Sounds realistic to me.
I beat the crap out of people, and they never show and there's no battle damage. All right. Pixels at Dawn asks, what's your favorite science fiction story?
Gosh. Why don't you're super well read. Let me think of which one I like the most.
My favorite science fiction story is a book called A Canticle for Leibowitz. And it is a post-apocalyptic story about this monastery where these guys preserve a blueprint of a circuit board for like thousands of years, to the point where they no longer remember what it is. They just remember it's important. And the book takes place over 3 like generations of monks in this monastery. And it's from the 60s, so there's a strong like nuclear weapons bent to it. But it's excellent. A Canticle for Leibowitz.
Okay.
Oh, Rob, you've read it? That's insane. I thought I was the only person on earth that's read that book. I'm glad you've read it.
I'm going to go, and this is off the top of my head. I read this sort of a novella, I guess, called The Day of the Triffids You ever heard of this?
No.
It was under a different name when I read it, but that's the big and more popular name. It's got by a guy named John Wyndham, and it was just one of these books. I'll tell you how I found this thing. If you want the gory details, I was looking for something to read a can, and I had this book, this assemblage of like classic science fiction that I picked up for like a buck at Goodwill, and this was like the one of the first stories in it. I read it. It was great. It's another post-apocalyptic sort of a gimmick. Where there's aliens involved. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I'll recommend it to anyone that likes that sort of thing. Good stuff.
Frodo also has read A Canticle for a Leibowitz. So fantastic. Awesome.
He's read mine too.
Yeah. Frodo's a big reader.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what's funny about Frodo? Even though he's a Netherlander, Dutch guy, he says that like 98% of his books are in English, and then the other 2% are some like regional dialect that's not Dutch. It's some sort of weird language that he might have invented. That's what he said. Okay. Chris Folds asks, MacGyver once broke a lock by melting some ice with a light bulb, dripping the water into a lock and waiting for it to freeze again. Based on that logic, if you had a candle, some duct tape, and a broken Amiga, how would you reheat some pizza? I'm going to just read the question part again. If you had a candle, some duct tape, and a broken Amiga, how would you reheat some pizza?
Here's what I would do. Okay, and I know this from fact, from just working on one. The Amiga has a big metal shield on the top of it. Right? You can take this thing off. What you do is you take this thing off, you duct tape it to the side of the wall, and you put the candle under it, and then you put the pizza on top of the panel, and the candle will heat up that entire panel, and then thusly reheating your pizza.
You know, I could have thought about that for 2 hours and not come up with a better answer. So I go with that. And our final question of this month's Ask the Amigos comes from Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, and he asks, if you were a Top Gun pilot, what would your handle be?
What do you got? You got anything on tap in the brain?
Asinine. That was my nickname in college, so I'd go with that.
It was?
Yeah.
Who
like, you know how you
that?
and Hose constantly call each other Hose all the time?
People keep saying that, but I don't know about that.
Well, me and my buddy Greg, we constantly would call each other Asinine. So, Asinine.
Wow. I think I would just go with my Devil Bunny. Hey, listen, keep it with me. So I'd be the Devil Bunny. Let them ponder what that means on the side of my plane as I'm gunning them down.
All right, and that's going to end this month's edition of Ask the Amigos. We thank all of our fine Discord participants for setting up these questions. And if you too would like to submit a question to us, all it takes is $1 a month to join up on Patreon or PayPal. And you can join the fun on our Discord. We will see you next week or next month. But by the time you hear this, maybe it will be next week for another edition of Ask the Amigos for October. Boy, October. The year's flying by. We'll see you guys next time.
Adios.
The audiobook is really good, Pix. I've listened to that too. The guy does some really good voices. There's a lot of regional dialects in there. There's a guy from Texas, and he does a good Texan.
We got a lot of questions here, dude.
Yeah. That one wasn't quite as long
fun,
as last month's, but it was still pretty long.
I always have a good time with those. They're always fun.
Yeah.
I hated MacGyver, by the way, but I did like the reason I knew how to do that is because I had that panel off, and for some reason I thought about cooking eggs on it if the computer got hot enough, and
right.
so that would make it. There you go.
All right.
I'll take you to the house. We'll feed my kid.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. We will see you.
Adios, muchachos.
Oh, wait, we're going to raid. I didn't forget.
Oh, holy smokes. Do it, Boat.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it well. I represent Queens. She was raised out in Brooklyn.
Your brain's all jacked up in the Boat. I can't believe you're playing Yakuza.
I know. It's insane. I never thought that would be my bag at all.
Right there.
Yeah. All right. Who shall we raid? Hazemaker. Bam.
I won't be streaming tonight. This ran so long. I probably won't get to stream tonight. I mean, no, I probably won't. I might stream tomorrow, maybe sometime tomorrow evening. I might do that, Boat.
All right, get ready to raid. See you guys. All right, I remembered to raid. I feel happy.
Good job, Boat. Nice work, eh?